Mom and Dad were so angry, but they said they'd forgive you if you apologized. What? Why should I apologize? I can't get along with people who think that way. I'm never seeing them again. Don't be ridiculous. If that's how you feel, I'm divorcing you. Get out. Actually, I was just about to leave. My name is Jade, I'm 30 years old, and I work in an office. Recently, my boyfriend, Harry, proposed to me. We met at a meetup for online gamers since we both love gaming. Harry is 7 years older than me. He's kind, understanding, and respects my love for work. What I like most is that he gives me space when I need it. Even though Harry proposed, I wasn't sure what to do. I had never really thought about getting married. It seemed like too much responsibility and felt like it would limit my freedom. It's not that I want to date around or anything, I just enjoy focusing on work. Work makes me happy. Honestly, I don't even know what to do on my days off. Maybe I'm a little odd. This is why most of my past relationships didn't work out. My ex-boyfriends would say things like, "You're like a guy, why should I change my plans for your job?" In the end, most men want to feel in control. They'd expect me to be a housewife or think household chores are only for women. That's not for me. So, I've never thought of marriage as a fairy tale ending. But then Harry proposed, and I decided to test him. "I'm not quitting my job." "Of course not," he said. "I might not want to go out on my days off." "I don't mind," he replied. "We'll share the housework, right? I've been living alone for years, I'm fine with that," he assured me. "When I'm busy with work, we might not spend much time together. Is that okay? I have hobbies, so I know how to enjoy my time alone," he said calmly. Finally, I asked him, "Why do you even want to marry me?" His response surprised me. "Even if everything you said is true, I don't want you to end up with someone else. Even if we only live together on weekends or live apart, I still want to marry you. I don't want us to just be boyfriend and girlfriend, I want us to promise to love each other forever. That's my selfish wish. But if you don't want marriage, that's okay too. We can do common law marriage if that works better for you." Hearing this made me realize he really understood me. He wasn't asking me to change who I am. I knew I could make this work with Harry. Maybe I wouldn't have to give up anything about my life to be married. So, I said yes. I had always told my family and friends that I didn't plan on getting married. So, when I told them the news, they were all shocked. My mom even cried tears of joy. That's when I realized how much this meant to her. She had always said, "Live the life you want," but deep down, I think she really wanted to see me get married. It made me so happy to see her smile. I felt glad I had decided to get married. After our wedding, Harry and I started our life as husband and wife. We moved into our new home, unpacked, and finished all the tricky paperwork. One day, Harry suggested we spend a night at his parents' house. He said some relatives would be gathering there on Saturday. "I need to make sure I don't do anything rude," I told him. "Don't worry," Harry reassured me. "My parents are older and will probably think of you more like a granddaughter than a daughter-in-law. You'll be fine." That made me feel a little better. I wanted to make a good impression on my in-laws after the wedding, so I agreed to go. But I had no idea what was coming. To prepare, I called my mom for advice. Since my dad passed away when I was young, my mom raised me on her own. I love and respect her, and I always go to her when I need guidance. "Should I bring an apron?" I asked. "Yes," Mom said. "It's best to ask if they need help first, and if they do, be ready to pitch in. Also, don't forget to bring a gift for them." "Got it, thanks, Mom." After our talk, I felt much more confident. This is going to go well, I thought. On the day of the visit, I was completely prepared. Harry drove, and after about 40 minutes, we arrived at his parents' house. This was the first time I'd see his parents and relatives since the wedding. Harry told me they were all excited to meet me, so I felt less nervous and even a bit excited myself. When we got there, I could hear the relatives chatting inside. It sounded like they had already started eating and drinking. I followed Harry into the living room. "Oh, you're here." His parents greeted us warmly. Come in, let's toast again." Harry's parents were already a little tipsy and looked very cheerful. We sat down, and I handed them the gift I had brought. "Oh, thank you so much," they said with big smiles. "Is there anything I can do to help?" I asked, pulling an apron from my bag. Harry's parents quickly reply, No, there's no need, you just sit here and enjoy yourself." "Okay, thank you," I say, a little surprised. Both of them insist I relax and enjoy the dinner. Considering their age, Harry's mom is 68, and his dad is 72, it starts to make sense. Maybe, as Harry said, they see me more like a granddaughter than a daughter-in-law. Everything seems fine as dinner continues, but then it happens. Here's another beer, Harry's mom says, handing me a drink. Thank you, I reply politely. The wedding was wonderful, wasn't it? She says, smiling. Yes, thank you, I respond. Then she adds, but if I had one complaint, it would be about your mother. I freeze. I'm sorry, what do you mean? She casually says, the scar on her face, it's hard to look at. It kind of ruins the mood of a celebration, don't you think? She tried to cover it with makeup, but it still stood out. If I had a scar like that, I'd never attend a wedding. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Before I can respond, Harry's dad chimes in, well, I guess it couldn't be helped. Without a father, it'd look bad if she didn't come. So, even with that scar, she had to show up, though it's pretty embarrassing. I feel my blood boil. How could they say this about my mom? My mom's scar is from a tragic accident. When I was a child, my dad was driving us when a speeding car from the opposite lane crashed into us. My dad swerved to protect us, but he hit a pole and died instantly. Mom had jumped over me in the back seat to shield me. A piece of glass from the windshield struck her face, leaving her with that scar. She saved my life that day. Harry's parents don't know this story, but Harry does. I told him everything before. I look at Harry, expecting him to speak up for me, for my mom, but he just looks uncomfortable, glances down at his plate, and keeps eating. Are you seriously not going to defend me? I think, feeling completely let down. As for Harry's parents, their behavior is beyond unacceptable. They're laughing, mocking my mom, and saying these cruel things in front of everyone. It's unthinkable. I couldn't just let this go. Excuse me, why would you say something like that? Have you even considered why my mom has that scar? They seemed shocked by my sudden outburst, and the room fell silent. She got that scar trying to protect me during the accident where we lost my dad. If she hadn't saved me, I might have been hurt, or even died. Making fun of someone's scars without knowing their story? That's incredibly childish. I stood up. I'm sorry, but I'm going home. Everyone looked uncomfortable, and my in-laws turned red. Harry just stared at me with his mouth wide open. I left the house, caught a cab to the station, and took a train home. Once I got home, I decided to pack my things and leave, but it was already night, and I couldn't drive because I'd been drinking, so I spent the night there instead. I decided I'd wait for Harry to come home the next day. I wanted to leave, but I felt I should hear him out first. When Harry came home, he was visibly angry. He threw his bags on the floor and glared at me. What was that? You embarrassed me and my parents. Your parents are the ones to blame. They insulted my mom in front of everyone. You know why she has that scar, and you didn't defend me. That's not what I'm talking about. First, apologize for embarrassing me and my parents. What do you mean? That's not what you're talking about? If your parents hadn't acted that way, none of this would have happened. You're insulting my parents again. No, I'm not. I'm just telling the truth about what happened. My parents are angry, but they said they'll forgive you if you apologize. They're being generous, and you should be grateful. What? Why should I apologize? I can't get along with people who would say that. I'll never see them again. Don't be stupid. If you don't apologize, I'm divorcing you. Get out. Actually, I was just about to leave. I grabbed the bags I had already packed. You were planning to leave? Yes, because your family was awful to me. Fine, then I have something for you too. He pulled out the divorce papers and slammed them on the table. They were already filled out, and his parents had signed as witnesses. They'd clearly talked about this and decided that if I didn't listen to them, he would give me these papers. Unbelievable. So, are you scared? If you're sorry at all, we can go to my parents' house right now to apologize. I couldn't believe he thought this was a good way to pressure me. I picked up the divorce papers and my bags and walked out of the house without saying another word. Hey, Harry shouted after me, but I ignored him. I went straight to my mom's house. On the way, I submitted the divorce papers. This meant that I had nothing more to do with Harry. When I return home, my mom is shocked to see me. After I tell her what happened, she looks worried. I'm so sorry, this is all my fault. Mom, don't say that. I love and respect you more than anyone. If someone insults you, I won't forgive them, Not even if it's my husband or his parents. Thank you, Jade. A few days pass, and Harry keeps trying to contact me, but I ignore him. Eventually, he can't wait any longer and shows up at the door. I don't want to let him in, so we talk outside. Will you talk to me? You need to come home right now, he demands. Why should I? We're done. I don't have anything to do with you anymore. What? What do you mean? I submitted the divorce papers. What? We're not married anymore. Don't be ridiculous. Why would you do that? You were the one who filled them out. I just had to submit them. I was just trying to threaten you. I don't care. Why would you fill out divorce papers just to threaten me? I can't believe this. I'm going to get us married again. I'm not signing anything, and I've already taken steps to make sure that can't happen. Impossible. Harry suddenly looks defeated. Please reconsider. We were in love. You know that's not why you want to stay married, right? What do you mean? You want me to take care of your parents, right? Harry freezes, clearly surprised. Your parents are older now, and they've got health issues. You wanted a wife who would take care of them, right? Otherwise, you'd have to do it all yourself since you're their only son. He's totally shaken. I just. Then his anger flares up. Fine, you know what? You're coming back right now. No way, I'm not taking care of your parents. They have nothing to do with me anymore. Shut up, I'm taking you back home whether you like it or not. Do you think you can threaten me? I'm serious, I'll be back. Just then, a man appears behind Harry. I look at him, surprised. The man speaks to Harry. What do you mean by that, sir? Huh? Who are you? Oh, forgive me. The man shows Harry his badge. Police. Are you really a cop? Yes, I patrol the area undercover. I can call for backup if you'd like. No, it's fine. Are you stalking this woman? No, I'm her husband. Her husband? It looks like she's in trouble. He's my ex-husband, we're divorced, and now he's stalking me. What are you talking about? Could you please explain, sir? I'm asking you to come with me to the station. No, I just wanted to talk. I'll come back later. Panicked, Harry runs off. Jade, are you okay? You really surprised me, Mitch. I didn't expect you to show up like that. The policeman is Mitch, my childhood friend. I've recently been assigned to a station nearby. Really? Good thing you were patrolling here, thanks. No problem. Actually, I got a call from your mom. Huh? I look inside the house and see my mom smiling at me. She lives alone, so I was worried and decided to check on her once in a while. Really? I didn't know. We planned together to surprise you when you came back. Did you? We sit down in the living room, and I explain everything that happened with Harry. Mitch suggests I get a restraining order, so I do it right away. With that, I'm able to completely cut ties with Harry and his family. As for Harry, I hear from a mutual friend that his parents are now struggling with their health issues. He's taking care of them while also working, and he can't get remarried. He's just working and caring for them. It serves him right. As for me, I'm happy focusing on my work. There has been one change, though. My childhood friend Mitch is now my husband. Now, I live happily with my husband and mom. Looking back, I can't believe Harry and his parents acted that way. It wasn't just about them being old or not understanding, it was wrong. I'm so glad Jade left them behind. She deserves to be with someone who truly understands her. Congrats to her. I hope she lives happily ever after with her family. Thanks for watching until the end. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
The crystal wine glass trembled in my hand as I watched my mother-in-law's perfectly manicured fingers tap against the mahogany dining table. The sound echoed through the elaborate dining room like a countdown to my execution. I'm Samantha, and for the past 12 years, I've been trying to measure up to Veronica's impossible standards. Tonight's family dinner was no different, another carefully orchestrated performance where she could remind everyone of her dominance. Darling, Veronica's voice cut through the dinner chatter. I noticed Zion's grades have been slipping lately. Perhaps if you spent less time managing your grandmother's estate and more time with your son. My 10-year-old son's face fell beside me. I placed my hand on his shoulder, forcing a smile. Actually, Zion just made the honor roll. Did he? She raised an eyebrow, taking a deliberate sip of wine. Must have missed that announcement. My husband Holden remained silent, suddenly fascinated by his roasted potatoes. Typical. The chandelier light caught his wedding ring, the one his mother had helped him choose, and I fought back a wave of bitterness. "Samantha," Wade, my father-in-law, called from across the table. "How is the estate settlement coming along? Your grandmother left quite a legacy, from what I hear." Before I could answer, Veronica's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. "Oh, Wade, let's not discuss such matters at dinner, though I do hope you're being prudent with the inheritance, dear. Money has a way of changing people." I caught Savannah, my sister-in-law, rolling her eyes. At least someone else saw through Veronica's performance. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of passive-aggressive comments and pointed silences. As everyone moved to the living room for coffee, Veronica cornered me in the hallway. "A word, Samantha." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "In the study." I followed her, my phone heavy in my pocket. Call it intuition or 12 years of experience, but I pressed record just before closing the door behind us. "I'll be direct," Veronica said, perching on the edge of her antique desk. "That inheritance of yours, it's causing problems. Holden tells me you're planning to use it for Zion's college fund?" "Yes, that's what my grandmother wanted." "Your grandmother," she cut in, "isn't here, but I am. And I'm concerned about how this sudden wealth might affect my grandson's future. Money without proper guidance can be destructive." My throat tightened. "What exactly are you saying, Veronica?" "I'm saying that if you don't sign over control of that inheritance to me, to manage properly, I'll have no choice but to protect my grandson from your influence, even if that means ensuring Holden gets full custody." The room spun. "You're threatening to take my son?" "Oh, darling." Her laugh was cold. "It's not a threat. It's a promise. I have connections you couldn't imagine. One call to Judge Harrison." She shrugged. "Well, let's just say he owes me several favors. You have until the family reunion next month to make the right decision." My hands shook as I gripped the back of a chair. "You can't do this." "I've been doing this longer than you've been alive, dear. Did you really think I'd let some inherited money shift the power in this family?" She moved toward the door. "1 month, Samantha. Choose wisely." She left me standing there, my phone still recording. Through the haze of shock and rage, one thought crystallized. For the first time in 12 years, I had proof of who Veronica really was. Back in the living room, I watched her hold court among our relatives, laughing and playing the perfect matriarch. Zion sat at her feet, listening to one of her stories, and my heart clenched. She had no idea that her perfectly constructed world was about to shatter. I pulled out my phone, hands still trembling, and texted my sister Andrea. "Need to talk. Now. It's time to take her down." Across the room, Veronica caught my eye and raised her coffee cup in a mock toast. I smiled back, thinking of the recordings safely captured on my phone. 1 month until the family reunion. 1 month to plan my response to her ultimatum. Game on, Veronica. As I gathered Zion's things to leave, Savannah touched my arm. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," I said, watching Veronica kiss Holden goodbye. "Just thinking about the future." And I was. A future where my son wouldn't grow up under Veronica's manipulation. A future where I finally stood up for myself. The weight of the phone in my pocket felt like armor, and for the first time in years, I felt something new. Hope. "Play it again," Andrea said, leaning forward on her couch, wine glass forgotten in her hand. I pressed play on my phone, and Veronica's cold voice filled the room for the 3rd time that evening. "That manipulative witch!" Andrea slammed her glass down. "She's actually threatening to take Zion away. Can she even do that?" I ran my fingers over the old photo album in my lap, the one Grandma had given me before she passed. With her connections? Maybe, but I'm done letting her win. "About time," Andrea said, pulling her legs under her. "Remember what Grandma always said? The truth has a way of setting itself free." The memory hit me like a wave. Grandma's kitchen warm with the scent of chocolate chip cookies, her wise eyes crinkling as she taught me about standing up for myself. "Life's too short to live in fear, sweetie," she'd say, showing me how to measure ingredients with confident hands. My phone buzzed. Interrupting the memory. A text from Holden. Mom's worried about you. Says you seemed off at dinner. Everything okay? I showed Andrea the message. She snorted. Of course she's worried. She's probably already plotting her next move. Actually, I pulled up my email, showing Andrea the message I'd received that morning. Look what Veronica's already done. Andrea's eyes widened as she read the email from the family lawyer. She's filing a petition questioning your mental fitness to manage the inheritance. On what grounds? Apparently my emotional instability makes me unfit to handle large sums of money. I laughed bitterly. She's moving faster than I expected. Then we move faster, Andrea said, grabbing her laptop. The reunion's in 4 weeks. We need allies. I might have one already. Savannah. Veronica's daughter. Andrea raised an eyebrow. She sees through her mother's act. Last week she told me about how Veronica tried to sabotage her wedding because she didn't approve of the groom. Andrea started typing. Okay, so Savannah's a potential ally. Who else? A knock at the front door made us both jump. I opened it to find Daniel, our family friend and neighbour, holding a casserole dish. Thought you might need this, he said, stepping inside. Saw you rushing over here looking upset after the dinner at Veronica's. Andrea and I exchanged glances. Daniel had been friends with the family for years, and more importantly, he'd witnessed Veronica's manipulation, firsthand. Actually, Daniel, I said, taking the dish, we could use your advice. Over the next hour, we played him the recording and outlined what we knew. His usual jovial expression grew serious. I've watched that woman destroy relationships for years, he said finally. It's time someone stood up to her. Count me in. My phone buzzed again. Another email. My hands shook as I read it. She's called an emergency meeting with the estate lawyers tomorrow, I whispered. She's not waiting for my answer. She's trying to force their hand now. Then we don't wait either, Andrea said firmly. The reunion's too far away. We need to act sooner. Daniel leaned forward. The garden party next week. Veronica's hosting it for the hospital board members. All her precious connections will be there. No, I said, an idea forming. The reunion is perfect. Let her think she's winning. Let her get comfortable. Meanwhile, I pulled up my contacts. Savannah, can you meet tomorrow? There's something you need to hear. After setting up the meeting, I opened Grandma's photo album again. There she was, strong and smiling, teaching me to bake in that sunny kitchen. On the back of the photo, her handwriting still clear. To my brave girl, remember, standing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. Grandma knew, I said softly. She knew Veronica would try something like this. It's why she left such detailed records of her wishes for the inheritance. Andrea squeezed my hand. Then let's make her proud. Daniel stood up, determination in his eyes. I'll start documenting every interaction I've witnessed between you and Veronica. Build a pattern of her behaviour. And I'll talk to Wade, Andrea added. Your father-in-law might be quiet, but he sees more than he lets on. I nodded, feeling stronger than I had in years. One thing's certain, Veronica won't see this coming. She thinks I'm the same quiet, compliant daughter-in-law I've always been. Her mistake, Andrea grinned. She never realised that the quiet ones are the most dangerous when pushed too far. As I drove home that night, Grandma's words echoed in my mind. The truth has a way of setting itself free. Soon, very soon, Veronica would learn just how free the truth could be. The coffee shop buzzed with morning activity as I waited for Savannah. My hands clutched a manila envelope containing copies of Veronica's emails, the recorded conversation, and years of documented incidents I'd been quietly collecting. Savannah swept in, designer sunglasses hiding what looked like tired eyes. This better be good, Sam. I had to tell Mom I was at yoga. Listen to this first, I said, sliding my phone across the table and pressing play. As Veronica's threats filled her earbuds, Savannah's perfectly composed face crumbled. She yanked out the earbuds before the recording finished. That manipulative She caught herself glancing around. I knew she was planning something, but this? There's more. I opened the envelope. Look at these emails to the lawyers. Savannah's hands trembled as she read. She's using the same playbook she used on me during my divorce: emotional instability, concerns about financial responsibility. God, it's like reading my own story. I need your help, Savannah. The reunion... Say no more. She pulled out her phone. I've got years of dirt on her. Remember last Christmas when she accidentally leaked those photos of Jessica's daughter at that party? Nearly ruined the poor girl's college applications. I have the texts proving it was deliberate. A message from Holden lit up my phone. Where are you? Mum's here. She's upset about something. Speaking of the devil, I muttered, showing Savannah the text. Go, she said, gathering the documents. I'll make copies of everything. And, Sam, be careful. When she's backed into a corner, she gets dangerous. I rushed home to find Veronica perched on my living room sofa, Holden standing by the window with his arms crossed. Care to explain this? Veronica thrust her phone at me. On the screen was an email from her lawyer mentioning my request for all documentation related to Grandma's estate. I'm just being thorough, I said, keeping my voice steady. It's a lot of money. Money you clearly can't handle, she snapped. Holden, tell her. Holden shifted uncomfortably. Sam, maybe Mom's right. You've been acting strange lately. Secretive. Maybe it would be better to let someone with more experience... More experience? I cut in. You mean someone like your mother, who's never worked a day in her life but somehow controls everyone's finances? Don't take that tone with my son, Veronica stood, her voice sharp. Your son? What about my son? You're threatening to take him away from me. Holden's head snapped up. What? Mum, what is she talking about? Veronica's laugh was practiced. Perfect. Oh, darling, she's clearly overwhelmed. This is exactly why I'm concerned. These paranoid accusations. Paranoid. I grabbed my phone, finger hovering over the play button. Should we listen to our conversation in your study? The colour drained from Veronica's face. You recorded me. That's illegal. Actually, I smiled, in this state, only one party needs to consent to a recording. I looked it up. Holden stepped between us. Both of you stop. Sam, whatever you think you're doing. What I'm doing? I turned to him. What about what she's doing? What about what she's always done? Ask Savannah about her divorce. Ask Wade about the family business she nearly destroyed. Ask anyone. Enough! Veronica grabbed her purse. Holden, we're leaving. And Samantha, remember what we discussed? Time is running out. After they left, I sank onto the sofa, my hands shaking. My phone buzzed with a text from Savannah. Got everything copied. Meeting Wade for lunch tomorrow. He wants to help. Another message followed. This one from Andrea. Daniel found old emails from Veronica to the hospital board. You won't believe what she did to that nurse who stood up to her. The front door opened and Holden walked back in. We need to talk. Now you want to talk? I stood. After 12 years of watching your mother tear me down. Sam, she's just protective. Protective? She's threatening to take our son. You don't have proof. Actually, I do. But you know what hurts most? That I needed proof in the first place. That you never just believed me. He reached for me, but I stepped back. I need time to think, he said quietly. Take all the time you need. The reunion's in 3 weeks. Maybe by then you'll decide whose side you're really on. After he left, I called Andrea. It's happening. Holden knows something's up. Good, she said. Let him squirm. Meanwhile, Savannah's got Wade on board. Daniel's gathering more evidence. We're building an army, sis. An army against Veronica. The thought would have terrified me a month ago. Now it felt like freedom. My phone buzzed with another message from Savannah. Mom's calling everyone. Damage control mode. She's scared, Sam. For the first time ever, she's actually scared. Good, I thought. She should be. Mommy, why isn't Daddy sleeping here anymore? Zion asked over his cereal bowl, his small face pinched with worry. I set down my coffee cup, choosing my words carefully. Dad just needs some time to think about things. He's staying at Grandma's for a few days. Because of the fighting? Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Wade stood on the porch looking uncomfortable in his casual clothes, so different from his usual business suits. Can we talk? he asked, glancing at Zion. Maybe while he's at school. After dropping Zion off, I met Wade at a quiet diner on the edge of town. He ordered coffee but just stared into the cup. Veronica doesn't know I'm here, he finally said. She thinks I'm at a board meeting. How long have you been lying to her, Wade? He flinched. 28 years of marriage, you learn to navigate. You mean survive. Look, he leaned forward. I saw what she did to Savannah during the divorce, watched her manipulate every situation until our daughter nearly lost everything. I kept quiet then. I won't make that mistake again. I pulled out my phone, showing him the recording. His face grew darker with each word. She's gotten worse, he whispered. More desperate to control everything. Last week I found her going through my office files at 3 a.m, looking for something to use against you. Did she find anything? No, but she did find this. He slid an envelope across the table. Your grandmother's original letter to the lawyers. The one outlining exactly why she left the inheritance directly to you, not the family trust Veronica wanted. My hands shook as I read Grandma's words. To protect my granddaughter from those who would seek to control her future. She knew, Wade said softly. Your grandmother saw right through Veronica from the start. The diner door chimed. Holden walked in, stopping short when he saw us. His face hardened as he approached our table. Dad, what are you doing here? Son, Wade started. Save it. Holden turned to me. Is this what you've been doing, turning my family against my mother? Your mother is turning them against herself, I shot back. Ask your father about the business deals she sabotaged last year. Ask him about the threats, the manipulation. All I see is you destroying our family. Holden's voice rose, drawing stares. Ever since that inheritance. Sit down, Wade's voice cracked like a whip. And for once in your life, listen to someone besides your mother. Holden sat, surprised by his father's tone. Remember your cousin Rachel's wedding? Wade asked. How she suddenly called it off and moved away. Want to know why? Your mother threatened to expose her father's gambling debts unless she broke up with the unsuitable groom. That's not, Holden started. Or, how about my heart surgery last year? The timing seemed odd, didn't it? That's because your mother convinced my doctor to move it up, so I'd miss the shareholders' meeting where we were voting on selling part of the company. She was protecting our interests. She was protecting her control, I cut in, just like she's doing now with Zion. Holden's phone buzzed, Veronica's face lighting up the screen. He stared at it, then declined the call. The reunion, Wade said. Whatever you're planning, count me in. It's time. Planning? What reunion? Holden looked between us. I stood, gathering my things. You'll find out soon enough. Maybe then you'll understand why I had to fight back. Sam, wait. Holden reached for my arm. No. I pulled away. You've had 12 years to wait, to watch, to say something. Your time for waiting is over. Outside, Wade caught up with me. Veronica's planning something for the reunion too. She's been making calls, calling in favors. Whatever you're going to do, let her plan, I said, thinking of the evidence mounting in my favor, of the allies gathering around me. She thinks she's the only one who knows how to play this game. My phone buzzed with a text from Savannah. Mum's called an emergency family meeting for tonight. She's panicking. Another message followed from Andrea. Daniel found the nurse Veronica blackmailed. She's willing to talk. Wade squeezed my shoulder. Be careful. When Veronica feels trapped. I know, I said, watching Holden through the diner window, still staring at his silent phone. But I'm done being careful. I'm done being quiet. And most of all, I'm done letting her win. The reunion was 2 weeks away. Veronica was gathering her weapons, calling in her favors, fortifying her walls. Let her. She didn't realize that while she was building walls, I was building an army. And unlike her, my army was fighting for the truth. 1 week, Andrea said, spreading documents across my kitchen table. Are you ready for this? Before I could answer, Daniel burst through the door, waving a USB drive. Got it. The hospital board recordings. You won't believe what's on here. Savannah followed him in. her designer heels clicking on the hardwood. Mum's losing it. She's called 3 different lawyers today alone. She knows we're up to something, I said, sorting through the evidence we'd gathered. Yesterday, she sent a concerned citizen letter to Zion's school suggesting I'm unstable. Predictable, Andrea scoffed. She's recycling old tricks. My phone lit up with a text from Wade. V called the judge, pushing for emergency hearing about the inheritance, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Perfect timing, Daniel grinned, plugging in the USB. Wait till they hear this. The recording crackled to life, Veronica's voice clear as she threatened the head nurse. Either she transfers, or your daughter's scholarship disappears. Board members have influence at universities, you know. That's just the start, Daniel said. There's dozens of these. Savannah leaned against the counter, arms crossed. She's been calling relatives, telling them you're having a mental breakdown, that you're paranoid, delusional. Like she did with you? I asked softly. Exactly like that. Savannah's eyes hardened. But this time we have proof. The front door opened again. Holden stood there, looking lost. Sam, can we talk? Everyone tensed. Andrea stepped between us. Haven't you done enough? It's okay, I said. Give us a minute. They filed out reluctantly, leaving Holden staring at the evidence spread across the table. What is all this? The truth. I played one of the recordings, Veronica threatening Wade's doctor. Holden sank into a chair. That's really Mom. That's really your mother. There's more, so much more. The reunion, he said slowly. You're going to expose her? Yes. He ran his hands through his hair. Sam, she's my mother. And Zion is your son, who she's threatening to take away from me. I could stop you, he said quietly. Tell her what you're planning. You could, but you won't. How do you know? I slid Grandma's letter across the table, because deep down, you know this has to end. He read the letter, his hands shaking. All these years, I thought you were exaggerating, that Mom was just protective. She's destroying people, Holden. She destroyed Savannah's marriage, threatened Wade's health, ruined careers. And now she's coming for our son. The door cracked open. Zion peeked in. Dad, are you coming home? Holden looked at our son, then at the evidence of his mother's manipulation. I don't know, buddy. But I do know your mom is very brave, and I should have seen that sooner. After Zion went to bed, we reconvened around the table. So, Andrea asked Holden, are you with us or against us? I can't. He swallowed hard. I can't actively help expose my mother, but I won't stop you either. Coward, Savannah spat. No, I touched her arm. It's enough. He's choosing not to warn her. That's something. My phone buzzed. A message from Veronica. Dinner tomorrow night. Non-negotiable. We need to discuss your recent behavior. She's making her move, Daniel said, reading over my shoulder. Good, Andrea smiled grimly. Let her think she's in control. Meanwhile, I've invited some special guests to the reunion. That nurse she threatened? She's bringing friends. Savannah checked her phone. Mum's already at the venue planning seating arrangements, making sure her loyal supporters are close by. Let her plan, I said, thinking of Grandma's words about truth setting itself free. We've got something better than loyal supporters. We've got proof. Holden stood. I should go. But Sam? He paused at the door. Whatever happens, I'm sorry for not seeing it sooner. After he left, we finalized our strategy. Andrea would handle the technical setup, ensuring the recordings played clearly. Daniel would coordinate with the former victims of Veronica's manipulation. Savannah would keep her mother distracted with venue details. 1 week, I breathed, looking at our battle plans. After 12 years, 1 week until everything changes. Are you scared? Andrea asked. Terrified, I admitted. But you know what scares me more? The thought of Zion growing up thinking Veronica's behavior is normal, that manipulation and control equal love. Then let's end it, Savannah said firmly, once and for all. Looking at our gathered evidence, at the faces of my allies, I felt something shift inside me. fear giving way to determination, doubt hardening into resolve. 1 week until the reunion. 1 week until Veronica's carefully constructed world came crashing down. Let her come to dinner tomorrow. Let her think she's winning. Her time was almost up, and she didn't even know it. The reunion venue buzzed with activity as caterers rushed around, setting up tables under Veronica's critical eye. I watched from the entrance as she adjusted a flower arrangement, perfectly poised in her designer dress. "Everything's ready," Andrea whispered, appearing beside me. Speakers tested, recordings queued up. Daniel's got the video presentation ready to go. "Mrs. Johnson," a caterer approached Veronica, "where would you like the champagne tower?" "By the main table, of course," she snapped. "And make sure it's the expensive champagne. We're not savages." Savannah brushed past us, clipboard in hand. "Mom's suspicious. She's had 3 people checking for recording devices." "Little late for that," Andrea smirked. The first guests began arriving. Distant relatives, business associates, all carefully selected by Veronica to witness what she thought would be her ultimate triumph. She'd spent the week spreading rumors about my mental state, preparing her audience for whatever show she had planned. "Samantha!" Veronica's voice rang across the room. "Darling, you look tired. Is everything all right?" "Never better." I smiled, watching her eyes narrow at my confidence. Wade appeared, adjusting his tie. "Veronica, the judge is here." "Wonderful," she beamed. "Show him to the main table." I caught Wade's subtle wink as he led the judge away. We'd made sure Judge Harrison knew exactly what was coming. "Mom's going to make her move during the toasts," Savannah murmured as she passed. "She's got paperwork in her purse, something about emergency custody." My heart raced, but I kept my face neutral. Let her think she had the upper hand. Holden arrived with Zion, both in matching suits. My son ran to hug me while Holden hung back, looking uncomfortable. "Quite a turnout," he said, scanning the growing crowd. "Your mother always did know how to draw an audience," I replied. The room filled quickly. I recognized faces from Daniel's investigation. The nurse Veronica had threatened, a former business partner she'd blackmailed, all strategically seated where they needed to be. 5 minutes until dinner. Andrea checked her phone. "Ready?" Before I could answer, Veronica clinked her glass. "Everyone, please find your seats. I have a special announcement to make before we eat." The guests moved to their tables. I sat between Andrea and Zion, watching Veronica take her place at the head table. "Family, friends," she began, her voice carrying that practiced warmth. "We're gathered here not just for a reunion, but to address a serious matter. Here it comes. As many of you know, our family has faced some challenges lately. My beloved daughter-in-law," she paused for effect, "has been struggling. The pressure of managing her inheritance, the responsibility." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I felt Zion's hand slip into mine, which is why, as family matriarch, I've taken steps to protect our interests. "Judge Harrison?" The judge stood, but instead of the papers Veronica expected, he pulled out a different document. "Yes, Mrs. Johnson, I have reviewed all the evidence thoroughly." Veronica's smile faltered slightly. "The custody papers will not be necessary," he finished firmly. "In fact, given the evidence I've seen of systematic manipulation and coercion." "What evidence?" Veronica's voice sharpened. "What is he talking about?" I stood, my heart pounding but my voice steady. "Maybe we should show everyone exactly what he's talking about." Daniel dimmed the lights, a screen lowered behind Veronica. "What is this?" she demanded. "Stop this immediately." "Play it," I nodded to Andrea. The first recording filled the room, Veronica threatening me in her study. Then the hospital board recording, then more. Years of threats, manipulation, and cruelty played out before her carefully gathered audience. Veronica lunged for the podium, but Wade caught her arm. "Sit down," he said quietly. "For once in your life, sit down and listen." The colour drained from her face as she watched her own words condemn her, her perfectly orchestrated evening crumbling around her. "You recorded me," she hissed. "This is illegal. I'll sue." No, you won't, Savannah stood, because I have more. We all do. One by one, people began to stand, each with their own story, their own evidence of Veronica's manipulation. Mom? Holden's voice cracked. What did you do? Veronica's eyes darted around the room, finding no allies among the faces she'd so carefully selected. Her hand clutched her chest as she realized she'd gathered her own witnesses to her downfall. The night was just beginning, and already her carefully constructed world was unraveling. As the evidence continued to play, I held Zion close, watching the truth finally break free. Turn it off! Veronica's voice cracked through the stunned silence as the last recording faded. This is nothing but a vindictive attack. Is it vindictive to tell the truth? The nurse she'd threatened stood up. You destroyed my career because I wouldn't transfer that patient according to your wishes. Margaret, please, Veronica started. Don't Margaret me. I lost everything because of you. My job, my daughter's scholarship. Others began standing, their voices overlapping. You blackmailed my husband's company. You threatened my family. You manipulated the hospital board. Veronica grabbed her purse, heading for the door, but Wade blocked her path. Running away won't fix this. Fix what? She snarled. I protected this family. Everything I did was for us. No, Savannah stepped forward. Everything you did was for control. You didn't protect us. You terrorized us. Holden? Veronica turned to her son, voice trembling. Tell them. Tell them how I've only ever wanted what's best. Like you wanted what was best when you threatened to take my son away. I cut in, my voice carrying across the silent room. When you tried to steal my inheritance? That money should have gone to the family trust, she snapped. Not some naive girl who doesn't understand. I understand perfectly. I pulled out Grandma's letter. My grandmother understood too. Should I read what she wrote about you? Don't you dare. To my dear Samantha, I read loudly. I leave this inheritance to you directly, knowing that certain individuals will attempt to control it. I've watched how they operate, how they manipulate and threaten. This is your chance at freedom. Holden stepped closer, his face ashen. Mom, did you really threaten to take Zion? I was protecting him. From what? Zion's small voice cut through the chaos. He stood beside me, tears in his eyes. From Mom? Veronica's carefully maintained facade cracked. Sweetheart, you don't understand. I understand, he said quietly. You're mean. You hurt people. The room fell silent. Veronica's hands shook as she reached for her grandson, but he stepped back, pressing against my side. Judge Harrison cleared his throat. Mrs. Johnson, given the evidence presented, I'm issuing an immediate restraining order. You are to have no contact with Samantha or Zion pending a full investigation. You can't do this, she turned to the crowd. These people are lying. They're all conspiring. Like you conspired to ruin my wedding, Savannah's voice cracked. Like you conspired against Dad's business partners. Face it, Mom. Your games are over. Wade, Veronica pleaded. Do something. I've done something, he said quietly. I've finally stopped enabling you. Andrea stepped forward with a thick folder. We have copies of everything. The recordings, the emails, the witness statements, every threat, every manipulation, every lie. You'll all regret this. Veronica's voice turned cold. I made this family what it is. Without me. Without you, I cut in. We can finally heal. Holden moved to stand beside me and Zion. Mom, you need help. Professional help. Traitor, she spat. After everything I've done for you. Everything you've done to him, Savannah corrected. To all of us. Security guards appeared at the doors, part of our carefully orchestrated plan. Daniel nodded to them. Mrs. Johnson, one guard stepped forward. Please come with us. Don't touch me. I am Veronica Johnson. Are leaving, Wade finished firmly. Now. As the guards escorted her out, her perfectly crafted world collapsed completely. The gathered crowd watched in stunned silence as the family matriarch, the puppet master, was finally stripped of her power. "Dad?" Zion tugged at Holden's sleeve. "Is Grandma going away?" Holden knelt beside our son. "For a while, buddy, until she gets the help she needs." The room buzzed with conversation as people began sharing their stories, years of suppressed truth finally breaking free. Andrea hugged me tight while Savannah wiped tears from her eyes. "It's really over," she whispered. "Not quite," I said, watching Wade gather the evidence folders. "There's still legal matters, investigations. But she can't hurt anyone anymore," Daniel added. "That's what matters." Judge Harrison approached our group. "I'll need formal statements from everyone, but for now..." He smiled kindly. "Well done." As the adrenaline faded, I felt Holden's hand slip into mine. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, "for not believing you, for not seeing." "We all see now." I squeezed his hand, watching our son chat with his Aunt Savannah. "That's what matters." Outside, we could hear Veronica's protests fading as she was led away. Inside, surrounded by truth-tellers and survivors, a different kind of family was forming, one built on honesty instead of fear, support instead of control. The night wasn't over, but the hardest part was done. The truth was out, and there was no putting it back in its box. The morning sun streamed through Grandma's kitchen window as I measured flour into a mixing bowl. Zion sat at the counter, carefully cracking eggs just like she'd taught me years ago. "Perfect technique, buddy," I smiled, watching him fish out a tiny piece of shell. The doorbell rang, Savannah and Andrea arriving with boxes of old photo albums. We'd been sorting through family memories, separating truth from Veronica's carefully crafted fiction. "Look what we found." Savannah held up a dusty photograph. "Mom's first wedding, before she married Dad. The one she claimed never happened?" I wiped flour from my hands. "The very one. Turns out she has quite a history of rewriting the past." The kitchen filled with the smell of chocolate chip cookies as Holden arrived with Wade, carrying more boxes. "The lawyers called?" Wade said, setting down his load. "Veronica's agreed to therapy as part of the settlement. Real therapy this time, not just for show." "Has she said anything about the letters?" Andrea asked. I shook my head. We'd discovered dozens of intercepted letters in Veronica's study, correspondence she'd hidden from family members for years, maintaining her web of isolation and control. "The hospital board voted yesterday," Daniel called from the doorway, joining our growing gathering. "They're reinstating Margaret and reviewing every decision Veronica influenced." Zion looked up from his eggs. "Is Grandma still mad at us?" Holden pulled up a stool beside his son. "Grandma's sick, buddy. Not like a cold, but in a way that made her hurt people. She's getting help now." "Can we send her cookies?" Zion asked, surprising us all. "Maybe someday," I said softly. "When she's ready." The oven timer dinged. As I pulled out the first batch of cookies, their warm, sweet scent filled the kitchen, just like it had when Grandma taught me to bake. To stand up for myself, to be brave. "The trust papers are finalized," Wade mentioned, accepting a warm cookie. "Everything's in your name now, Sam. No conditions, no controls." "What about the house?" Savannah asked. "Sold," Holden answered. "Mom's downsizing, doctor's orders, new environment, fresh start." I watched our unlikely family gathered in this kitchen. Wade sharing cookies with his grandchild, Savannah and Andrea sorting photos, Daniel discussing hospital politics with Holden. All the walls Veronica built between us had crumbled. "Sam?" Holden caught my hand. "There's something I need to say." "You don't have to." "I do." He took a deep breath. "I spent my whole life letting Mom control everything because it was easier than fighting. I watched her hurt you, hurt everyone, and said nothing. I can't change that, but I can promise it won't happen again." "Look what I found." Zion held up a photo, me and Grandma baking in this very kitchen. On the back, her familiar handwriting. "Remember, love doesn't control. It sets free." The doorbell rang again. Judge Harrison stood outside with Margaret, the nurse, and several other former victims of Veronica's manipulation. "Hope we're not interrupting," Margaret smiled. "We brought more photos. More stories." "Perfect timing," I gestured to the fresh cookies. We're just getting started. As everyone settled in, sharing stories and treats, I realized something profound. Veronica had spent years trying to control the narrative, to keep us isolated and dependent. But here we were, building something stronger than her manipulation, genuine connections, honest relationships, real family. Mom, Zion tugged my sleeve, can you teach me Grandma's secret cookie recipe, the real one? Of course, baby. I pulled him close, remembering Grandma's words about truth setting us free. That's what family does, passes down the real stories, the true legacy. Wade raised his coffee cup. To new beginnings. And old recipes, Andrea added. And the truth, Savannah finished. As laughter and conversation filled the kitchen, I looked at these people, not bound by Veronica's manipulation anymore, but by choice and love and truth. The inheritance wasn't just money or property, it was this. The freedom to build authentic relationships, to share real stories, to bake cookies with my son without fear of judgment or control. Holden squeezed my hand. You okay? Better than okay, I smiled, watching Zion measure vanilla extract with intense concentration. We're free. Outside, spring sunshine warmed the garden where Grandma used to tend her roses. Inside, the kitchen filled with the sweet smell of cookies and the sweeter sound of honest laughter. This was the real legacy, not Veronica's carefully constructed facade, but something authentic and imperfect, and true, just like Grandma's slightly misshapen, absolutely perfect chocolate chip cookies.
The divorce papers arrived on my 30th birthday, delivered by courier to my front door with a pink sticky note attached. Happy birthday, dear. It read in Monica's perfect cursive handwriting. My hands trembled as I held the envelope, still standing in the doorway of the mansion I'd called home for the past 5 years. My name is Cassandra, and this was my mother-in-law's idea of a birthday present. I walked to the kitchen counter, my heels clicking against the marble floor, each step echoing in the empty house. Warren, my soon-to-be ex-husband, hadn't been home in 3 days. Working late, he'd said, but we both knew better. My phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil, Monica's name flashed across the screen. Did you receive my little surprise? Her voice dripped with false sweetness. You really outdid yourself this time, I replied, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. Most people just send flowers. Oh, darling, I thought it was time to stop pretending. You never did fit into this family, did you? Warren needs someone more suitable. I gripped the counter until my knuckles turned white. Someone you can control, you mean? I'll expect you to vacate the house by the end of the week. Do try to leave it in better condition than you found it. The line went dead. I slammed the papers down and grabbed a bottle of wine from the rack, one of Monica's precious imports. As I poured myself a glass, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number this time. Hello? Happy birthday, sis. Heard Mommy Dearest finally made her move. I nearly dropped my glass. Gemma? The one and only black sheep of the Palmer family. She laughed, but there was an edge to it. Listen, I know we've never been close, but I think it's time we had a chat. I have some information you might find interesting. I took a long sip of wine. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Meet me at the Blue Room in an hour. Trust me, you'll want to hear this in person. After hanging up, I headed upstairs to change. In the master bedroom, I opened my closet to find half of it already emptied. Warren's clothes gone without a word. Something caught my eye at the back of his side, an old leather briefcase I'd never seen before, partially hidden behind a shoe rack. Inside, I found stacks of documents, yellowed with age, bank statements, letters, and what looked like private investigator reports. As I skimmed through them, my heart started racing. Names I recognized jumped out at me, along with numbers that made my eyes widen. My phone buzzed again, Gemma reminding me of our meeting. I quickly photographed several pages, stuffed the briefcase back where I found it, and grabbed my purse. Before leaving, I stood in front of the giant mirror in the foyer, the one Monica had gifted us for our wedding. I wiped away the mascara smudges under my eyes and reapplied my lipstick. The woman staring back at me wasn't the same one who'd walked down the aisle 5 years ago, starry-eyed and naive. Game on, Monica, I whispered to my reflection. The Blue Room was nearly empty when I arrived. Gemma sat in a corner booth, her wild red hair a stark contrast to the Palmer family's perfectly polished appearance. She stood when she saw me, revealing ripped jeans and a vintage t-shirt that would have given Monica an aneurysm. "Well, if it isn't my favorite sister-in-law," she said, pulling me into an unexpected hug. "Though I guess we won't be in-laws much longer." "I'm your only sister-in-law," I replied, sliding into the booth. "Not true. There's Felicity, but she's about as interesting as watching paint dry." Gemma signaled the waiter. "2 martinis, extra dirty." She turned back to me, her expression suddenly serious. "So, tell me about the papers Monica served you. How did you even know about those?" "I make it my business to know what that woman is up to." Gemma leaned forward. "But more importantly, what did you find in Warren's closet?" I stared at her. "How did you—" "Because I'm the one who left that briefcase there." She smiled, but it wasn't friendly. It was calculating. I've been waiting for the right moment and the right ally. Monica thinks she can just throw people away when they don't fit her perfect picture. It's time someone showed her what that feels like. The waiter arrived with our martinis. I took a long sip, studying Gemma's face. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Simple," she said, raising her glass. "We're going to tear down everything Monica holds dear, her reputation, her social standing, her perfect family facade, and we're going to use those documents to do it." I clinked my glass against hers, Monica's cruel smile flashing in my mind. "Tell me more." "You want to know why I was really cut off?" Gemma asked, spreading the documents across her apartment's coffee table. "It wasn't because I dropped out of law school like Monica told everyone. I sat cross-legged on her floor, surrounded by paper trails and old photographs. The contrast between Gemma's cozy, artistic loft and the Palmer mansion couldn't have been starker. Here, paint-splattered canvases lined the walls, and the air smelled of coffee and oil paints instead of Monica's suffocating designer perfume. "I found these," Gemma continued, pulling out a stack of letters. "Monica had been embezzling from Dad's company for years. When I confronted her, she gave me a choice: keep quiet and play along or get cut off. I chose option 3, told her to go to hell." "But Killian, your dad, he must have known?" Gemma laughed bitterly. "Dad's been under her thumb since before I was born, but that's not even the best part." She handed me a manila envelope. "Open it." Inside were surveillance photos dated 15 years ago. Monica, significantly younger but unmistakable, in intimate situations with a man who wasn't Killian. "Holy shit," I whispered. "That's Richard Martinez, Dad's former business partner. The affair lasted 3 years. When he threatened to tell Dad, she orchestrated his complete financial ruin. He died in a car accident 6 months later." My hands shook as I set down the photos. "Are you suggesting—" "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying Monica will stop at nothing to protect her perfect image." Gemma stood and walked to her kitchen. "Want something stronger than coffee?" Before I could answer, my phone lit up with Warren's name. "Where are you?" he demanded when I answered. "Mother says you haven't started packing." "Your mother can—" "Don't," he sighed. "Just come home. We need to talk." "Now you want to talk? After serving me divorce papers through your mother on my birthday?" Silence on his end. "That's what I thought." I hung up. Gemma returned with 2 glasses of whiskey. Warren being Warren? He's always been her puppet. I accepted the glass. "How did you get all this evidence?" "I had help." She pulled out her phone and dialed. Actually, he should be here any minute. Right on cue, there was a knock at the door. Gemma opened it to reveal a tall man with glasses and a messenger bag. "Cassandra, meet Terrence. He's an investigative journalist and an old friend. He's been helping me build this case for years." Terrence sat down, immediately pulling out his laptop. "The affair photos are just the beginning. I've traced money transfers through shell companies, found witnesses to Monica's threats against Richard, and uncovered at least 3 other families she's destroyed to maintain her position." "We need your help, Cass," Gemma said. "You're on the inside. You have access to the house, to Warren's office, to their social circle." I took a long sip of whiskey. "What exactly do you need me to do?" "There's a safe in Killian's study," Terrence explained. "According to our sources, it contains documents that could prove everything. The embezzlement, Monica's involvement in Richard's death, all of it." "The combination? That's where it gets interesting." Gemma smiled. "It's your birthday." I stared at her. "What? Monica's so arrogant. She used your birthday as the combination to remind herself of the day she planned to destroy you. Ironic, isn't it? My phone buzzed again. A text from Felicity this time. Mother's worried about you. Don't do anything rash. I showed the message to Gemma, who rolled her eyes. Felicity, ever the faithful soldier. If we do this, I said slowly, there's no going back. We'd be declaring war. They declared war when they tried to throw you away like garbage, Gemma replied. We're just finally fighting back. Terrence began laying out a plan, explaining how we'd need to time the revelations for maximum impact. As he talked, I noticed a familiar look in his eyes when he glanced at Gemma. There was definitely history there. The annual Palmer Foundation Gala is in 3 weeks, I said. Everyone who's anyone will be there. Perfect, Terrence typed rapidly. We'll need to move fast. Can you get into that safe tomorrow? I thought about Monica's smug face, about Warren's weakness, about 5 years of subtle humiliation and calculated cruelty. I'll do better than that, I said. I'll get into it tonight. Warren's at his club and Monica and Killian are at some charity dinner. Gemma grinned. Now that's what I call initiative. As we gathered our things, I caught my reflection in Gemma's window. The woman looking back wasn't a victim anymore. She was a hunter. One question, I said as we headed out. Why did you wait until now to bring me in? Gemma paused at the door. Because now you have nothing left to lose, and that makes you dangerous. The mansion's security system beeped as I entered my code. 3 weeks left before I'd lose access completely, according to Monica's timeline. I moved silently through the darkened house, my phone flashlight guiding the way to Killian's study. You're in? Gemma's voice crackled through my earpiece. Just reached the study. I closed the door behind me. Where exactly is this safe? Behind the hunting portrait, classic rich people hiding spot. I smirked, lifting the heavy oil painting of Killian in his hunting gear. The safe was exactly where she said it would be. My fingers trembled slightly as I input the numbers. 0315. The mechanism clicked. I'm in, I whispered, pulling the heavy door open. There's a lot here, Gemma. Start with anything related to Richard Martinez. I began pulling out folders, photographing everything with the special app Terrence had installed on my phone. Suddenly, lights flooded the room. I froze. What exactly are you doing in my father's study? Warren stood in the doorway, still in his business suit, his face unreadable. Warren, I breathed, my heart pounding. I thought you were at your club. Clearly. He stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. Are those my mother's banking records? They're evidence of your mother's crimes. I straightened up, refusing to act guilty. Did you know about Richard Martinez? His face paled slightly. How do you know that name? Your mother had him killed, Warren, after their affair, after he threatened to expose her. That's ridiculous. It was a car accident. I spread the surveillance photos across Killian's desk. Warren's hands shook as he picked them up. This can't be real, he muttered. It is, and there's more, so much more. I pointed to the stack of documents. Your mother has been embezzling money for years. She's destroyed families, Warren, and now she's trying to destroy me. He sank into his father's leather chair. Gemma's helping you, isn't she? Cassandra? Gemma's voice crackled in my ear. What's happening? Yes, I told Warren. She is. He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my heart ache. I always knew something was wrong. The way Mother treated Gemma, the way she... He looked up at me. The way she treated you. Then help us expose her. She's my mother, Cass. And I'm your wife. Was your wife. I gathered the documents. You have a choice to make, Warren. Just like Gemma did. You can keep enabling your mother's corruption, or you can finally stand up to her. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. We both froze. Warren, Killian's voice called out. Is that you in my study? Warren grabbed my arm and shoved me toward the hidden door behind the bookcase, the one that led to the service stairs. Go, he whispered. I'll handle this. I slipped through just as Killian entered the room. Son, what are you doing here so late? Just needed some contracts, Dad, for the Martinez property development. My heart pounded as I crept down the stairs, clutching the photographed evidence. I could hear Gemma breathing rapidly in my ear. Cass, are you okay? I'm fine, I whispered. But Warren knows. Shit, can he be trusted? I don't know. I reached my car and slid inside. But he let me go. Get to Terrence's place, now. We need to process what you found. 30 minutes later, I sat in Terrence's home office, watching him scroll through the photos on his computer screen. His eyes widened. This is bigger than we thought, he said. Monica wasn't just embezzling from the company. She was running a full-scale money laundering operation through the Palmer Foundation. The charity? I leaned closer. Look at these transfers. He pointed to a series of numbers. Millions moving through shell companies, then getting donated to the foundation, only to disappear into offshore accounts. Can you prove it's illegal? With these documents, absolutely. He sat back. This could send her to prison for decades. My phone buzzed. A text from Warren. We need to talk, alone. Tomorrow morning, our spot in the park. Warren wants to meet, I told them. Gemma grabbed my arm. It could be a trap. Mother could be setting you up. No, I said, remembering the look in his eyes when he saw those photos. He's struggling. This might be our chance to bring him to our side. Or he could warn Monica, Terrence pointed out. I have to try. I stood up. He deserves a chance to choose the right side. Like you chose? Gemma asked softly. I thought about the divorce papers, about Monica's smug smile, about years of subtle degradation. No, I replied. Like you did, when you walked away with your integrity intact. Gemma hugged me fiercely. Be careful tomorrow. Monica's not the only dangerous one in that family. I nodded, but my mind was already on tomorrow's meeting. Warren had always been our weak link, the one person who might still have a conscience under years of his mother's manipulation. Tomorrow would show us who he really was. The morning air was crisp as I approached our bench by the duck pond. Warren was already there, wearing his running clothes, just like he used to during our early morning meetups before Monica decided I was distracting him from his responsibilities. You came alone? He asked as I sat down. Did you? He nodded, tossing breadcrumbs to the ducks. Mother's in crisis mode. Someone leaked information about the foundation to her. She's been making calls all morning. And you're here instead of helping her. I studied his profile. Why? Because I keep seeing those photos in my head. He crushed the empty bread bag. Richard was like an uncle to me. He used to take me fishing, taught me how to drive. Then one day he was just gone. Your mother, don't. He stood abruptly. I need to show you something. Come with me? I hesitated. Where? My office. There's something you need to see. 20 minutes later, we walked into the empty Palmer Corp building. Warren's corner office still had my touches, the art pieces I'd picked out, the plants I'd chosen. He went straight to his desk and pulled out a thick folder. I found these last night after you left. I stayed up reading them. He spread the contents across his desk. Bank statements, transfer records, everything Mother did. But there's more. He pointed to several documents. Dad's signature is forged on these. I know because I've been forging it for years under Mother's instructions. She told me it was to simplify things, to help the company run smoothly. Warren, I'm complicit, Cass, in all of it. His voice cracked. Every document I signed, every meeting I sat through nodding like a good son. I helped her build this house of cards. The door opened suddenly. Felicity stood there, her perfect blonde hair and designer suit a stark contrast to our tense atmosphere. What's she doing here? Felicity's eyes narrowed at me. Warren, Mother's been trying to reach you. Not now, Felicity. Yes, now. She stepped in, closing the door. The foundation is under scrutiny. We need to present a united front. United in covering up crimes? I asked. Crimes? Felicity laughed, but it sounded hollow. Is that what you're telling him? More lies to manipulate my brother? Show her, I told Warren. He hesitated, then handed Felicity the photos of Monica and Richard. She flipped through them, her face draining of color. These are fake, she whispered. They're not. Warren's voice was gentle. You remember Richard fell. You remember how he disappeared. No. She threw the photos down. Mother wouldn't, she couldn't. She did. I stood up. And now she's trying to erase me, just like she erased him, just like she erased Gemma. Gemma chose to leave, Felicity snapped. Gemma chose the truth, Warren said quietly. Maybe it's time we did too. Felicity's hands trembled as she gripped the back of a chair. If this gets out, it will destroy everything. The company, our reputation, our lives. Your mother's already destroying lives, I said. How many more Richard Martinez's are out there? Warren's phone buzzed, Monica's face lighting up the screen. He stared at it, then declined the call. If we do this, he said slowly, we have to do it right. We need proof that will stand up in court. We have proof, I said, but we need your testimony too, both of you. Felicity sank into a chair. She's our mother. And she's a criminal, Warren replied. We have to decide what matters more, protecting her or protecting justice. His phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Monica. The vultures are circling. Where are you? We need to handle this now. She's planning something, Felicity said, reading over his shoulder. She always has a contingency plan. Then we need to move faster, I replied. The foundation gala is in 2 weeks. Everyone who matters in this city will be there. You want to expose her publicly? Felicity looked horrified. It's the only way to make sure she can't bury it, Warren said. You know how she operates, Fel. If we give her any warning, any chance to spin this, she'll destroy everyone involved, Felicity finished. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. I need time to think. We don't have time, I said. Your mother's already moving to contain this. We have to decide now. Warren and Felicity shared a look, the kind only siblings can share, loaded with years of shared secrets and understanding. I'm in, Warren said finally. Felicity closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and nodded. God help us all. As if on cue, all our phones buzzed simultaneously. Monica had called an emergency family dinner for tonight. Well, I said, gathering the documents, looks like the game is starting sooner than we planned. The Palmer Mansion's dining room felt like a powder keg waiting to explode. Monica sat at the head of the table, perfectly composed in her designer dress, while Killian occupied his usual spot at the other end, already 3 glasses deep into his scotch. So nice of you all to join us, Monica said, her smile not reaching her eyes. Even you, Cassandra, though I believe we discussed your living arrangements. You discussed. I never agreed. I took a seat next to Warren, noting how his hand trembled slightly as he reached for his water glass. Now then, Monica continued, we have a situation that requires immediate attention. Someone has been spreading malicious rumors about our foundation. Rumors? Felicity's voice quavered slightly. What kind of rumors? Nothing that can't be handled with the right approach. Monica's eyes fixed on me. The question is, who would have access to such sensitive information? The servant brought in the first course, Monica's favorite lobster bisque. No one touched their spoons. Perhaps, I said, meeting her gaze, someone finally decided to tell the truth about Richard Martinez. The silence that followed was deafening. Killian's glass stopped halfway to his mouth. That name, Monica said softly, dangerously, is not to be mentioned in this house. Why? Warren spoke up, his voice stronger than I expected. Because of what you did to him? Warren. Monica's composure cracked slightly. What has she been telling you? Nothing that isn't documented in your own records, Mother. Monica's laugh was sharp. Oh, I see. You've all been conspiring behind my back. How disappointing. She dabbed her lips with her napkin. Killian, dear, perhaps it's time we showed them the other documents. Killian cleared his throat. Monica, I don't think... The ones about Warren's little indiscretion with his secretary last year? Or Felicity's abortion in college? Monica's smile turned cruel. We all have secrets, don't we? Are you threatening your own children? I asked incredulously. I'm protecting this family, as I always have. She stood walking around the table. Everything I've done has been for this family's legacy, and I will not let any of you destroy it. By any means necessary. Warren's voice was quiet. Like you destroyed Richard? He was going to ruin everything, Monica snapped. Just like you're trying to do now. All of you, ungrateful children who don't understand what it takes to maintain our position. My phone buzzed in my lap. A text from Gemma. Terrence just got the final proof. It's all ready for the gala. Are you safe? The gala, Monica said suddenly, making me jump. That's your plan, isn't it? To humiliate me in front of everyone? She laughed. Do you really think I haven't prepared for every contingency? Even prison? Felicity asked, surprising us all. Monica's face hardened. No one's going to prison, dear, because none of you are going to breathe a word of this to anyone. Are we clear? Or what? Warren stood up. More accidents? More lives destroyed? Sit down, Killian ordered, finally finding his voice. No, Dad, I won't sit down. Not anymore. Warren pulled out his phone. I recorded everything you just said, Mother. About Richard, about threatening us. All of it. Monica's mask slipped completely. You wouldn't dare. Try me. Warren's hand was steady now. The Foundation Gala is in 10 days. You have until then to confess everything to the board, or we'll do it for you. This is how you repay me? Monica's voice shook with rage. After everything I've sacrificed for you? You sacrificed others for yourself, I said, standing up. There's a difference. Monica moved with surprising speed, grabbing my arm. You turned my children against me. No, Monica, Felicity said, rising. You did that all by yourself. Warren gently but firmly removed his mother's hand from my arm. We're leaving now, all of us. And if anything happens to any of us before the gala, that recording goes straight to the press. As we walked out, Monica's voice followed us. You'll regret this, all of you. In the driveway, Felicity burst into tears. Warren held her while I texted Gemma. It's done. But Monica's threatening everyone. We need protection. Already handled, came the reply. Terrence has copies of everything in multiple secure locations. Any move against us triggers automatic release to every major news outlet. Warren looked over my shoulder at the message. Smart. Gemma learned from the best, I said, watching Monica's silhouette in the dining room window. She learned from your mother how to always be one step ahead. 10 days, Felicity whispered, wiping her eyes. What do we do for the next 10 days? We stay alive, Warren said grimly, and we pray Mother doesn't find another way to silence us all. As we drove away, I caught one last glimpse of the mansion in my rearview mirror. Monica still stood in the window, watching us leave, looking more like Lady Macbeth than the society queen she pretended to be. The endgame had begun. The Palmer Foundation Gala sparkled with wealth and pretense. Crystal chandeliers reflected off designer gowns and diamond necklaces as the city's elite mingled in the grand ballroom. Monica stood at the center of it all, resplendent in red, playing her role as the perfect hostess. She looks confident, Gemma muttered beside me, adjusting her black dress. Too confident. Of course she does, I replied, accepting a champagne flute from a passing waiter. She thinks she's won. The past 10 days had been a masterclass in psychological warfare. Monica had frozen Warren's accounts, sent private investigators to follow Felicity, and even tried to have me arrested for trespassing at the mansion. But we'd been ready for everything. Terrence is in position, Gemma said, touching her earpiece discreetly. The press is already gathering outside. I watched Monica work the room, stopping to chat with the mayor, laughing with bank executives. Warren stood near the stage, reviewing his speech cards, while Felicity hovered near the bar, downing her second martini. Ladies and gentlemen, Monica's voice rang out over the microphone. Welcome to our annual Foundation Gala. Tonight we celebrate 30 years of giving back to our community. That's quite a speech, a familiar voice said behind me. I turned to find Killian, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Shame about the timing. You could still stop this, I said quietly. He took a long sip of scotch. You know, Richard was my best friend. The night of the accident, Monica told me she'd handled a problem. I never asked what she meant. He met my eyes. I've spent 15 years not asking questions. And now I'm too tired to keep pretending. He handed me an envelope. Bank records, the originals. Do what you need to do. Before I could respond, he walked away, disappearing into the crowd. And now, my son Warren will say a few words about our exciting new initiatives, Monica concluded, gesturing to the stage. Warren approached the podium, his face pale but determined. I slipped the envelope to Gemma, who immediately passed it to Terrence at his hidden position near the service entrance. Thank you, Mother, Warren began. You're right. Tonight is about truth and legacy. Monica's smile flickered slightly. The Palmer Foundation has indeed touched many lives, Warren continued, though not in the ways you might think. Richard Martinez's life, for example. The room grew quiet. Monica took a step toward the stage. Warren, dear, she called out, her voice honey-sweet, perhaps we should focus on our achievements. Like the $70 million laundered through fake charities? Warren's voice grew stronger. Or the systematic destruction of anyone who threatened to expose the truth. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones started appearing, recording everything. Security, Monica snapped, but Gemma was already blocking the guard's path, along with several plainclothes FBI agents we'd coordinated with. The truth, Felicity's voice rang out as she joined Warren on stage, is that our mother built this foundation on blood money and blackmail. How dare you? Monica lunged for the stage, but I stepped in her path. It's over, Monica, I said quietly. You think you've won? She grabbed my arm, her perfectly manicured nails digging into my skin. I still have enough dirt to bury all of you. No, you don't. Gemma appeared beside us, holding up her phone. Check your private server. Everything's gone. Backed up to our secure locations, of course. Monica's face contorted with rage, just as camera flashes began exploding from the entrance. Terrence had timed the press perfectly. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Warren's voice boomed over the speakers. We have evidence of decades of financial fraud, money laundering, and criminal conspiracy, including documentation related to the death of Richard Martinez. Monica screamed, a primal sound of fury and defeat. She lunged at me again, but this time, federal agents were faster. Monica Palmer, one announced, you're under arrest for fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. As they led her away in handcuffs, she locked eyes with me. I should have destroyed you the day Warren brought you home. You tried, I replied. You failed. The ballroom had erupted into chaos. Reporters shouted questions. Photographers' flashes lit up the room, and society ladies clutched their pearls in shock. Through it all, I watched Killian sitting alone at the bar, finally looking free of a weight he'd carried for decades. Gemma squeezed my hand. We did it. Was it worth it? I asked, watching Monica's red dress disappear through the doors. Ask me tomorrow, she replied. Tonight we drink. Warren and Felicity joined us, both looking shell-shocked but relieved. Mother always said the foundation gala was about making headlines, Felicity said with a weak laugh. Well, I raised my champagne glass. Here's to giving her exactly what she wanted. Outside, the press crews were setting up for live broadcasts, ready to tell the world how the mighty Palmer Empire had fallen. But in that moment, surrounded by my unlikely allies, I felt nothing but peace. The truth, as they say, had finally set us free. The morning after the gala, I sat in Terrence's office watching the media frenzy unfold across multiple screens. Every news channel showed Monica's arrest on loop, interspersed with photos of Richard Martinez and infographics detailing the foundation's fraud. They're calling it the scandal of the decade, Terrence said, tossing another newspaper onto his desk. The FBI's investigation is expanding by the hour. Warren walked in, looking exhausted in his rumpled suit. They're questioning Dad now. He's telling them everything. How are you holding up? I asked. Better than Felicity. She's at home with her anxiety medication. The press won't leave her doorstep. He collapsed into a chair. Mother's lawyers are already working on bail. She won't get it, Gemma said, entering with coffee cups for everyone. The evidence is too strong and she's a flight risk. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. My heart stopped when I opened it. You took everything from me. Now watch your own life burn. Monica has friends in high places, Warren said, reading over my shoulder. Powerful friends. As if on cue, Terrence's TV screens erupted with breaking news. My photo appeared alongside headlines. Palmer whistleblower's dark past revealed. Oh God, I whispered. The reporter's voice filled the room. Sources close to the Palmer family have revealed that Cassandra Fox, the daughter-in-law who helped expose the foundation scandal, has her own history of financial misconduct. Documents show multiple instances of... It's all lies, Warren interrupted, grabbing the remote. Mother's trying to discredit you. It's working, Terrence said grimly, scrolling through social media. The story's going viral. My phone kept buzzing with messages from unknown numbers. Threats, insults, accusations. I turned it off. We knew she'd retaliate, Gemma reminded us. That's why we have this. She pulled out a USB drive. Every email, every message where Monica orchestrated smear campaigns against her enemies, including this one. Terrence plugged it in, his fingers flying over the keyboard. Give me an hour. I'll trace these sources right back to Monica's allies. The door burst open. Felicity rushed in, mascara streaked down her face. They're seizing everything. The houses, the cars, the company accounts, all frozen pending investigation. Good, Warren said firmly. Let them take it all. We don't need any of it. Easy for you to say. Felicity collapsed onto the couch. You have your own money. I've never worked a day in my life. What am I supposed to do? Start over, I said quietly, like I'm going to have to do. My phone started ringing again. This time it was my boss. Former boss, probably, given the headlines. The truth will come out, Terrence assured me, still typing frantically. We just need to weather the storm. There's more, Warren said, checking his phone. Mother's lawyers are claiming we conspired to frame her. They're trying to drag us all down with her. Let them try. Gemma stood up, pacing. We have recordings, documents, witnesses. The FBI has everything. But the court of public opinion moves faster than the justice system, Terrence pointed out. We need to get ahead of this. How? Felicity asked. By telling our story first. He turned his laptop around, showing a draft article. All of it. The abuse, the manipulation, the fear. Humanize ourselves before Monica can demonize us. I'll do it, Warren said immediately. I'll give them the full story of growing up under her control. Me too, Felicity whispered. It's time people knew the truth about our perfect family. My phone buzzed one final time before dying. Another message from Monica. This is just the beginning. She's right, I said, staring at the black screen. This isn't over. No, Gemma agreed, but this time we're not fighting alone. Terrence's computer pinged. Got it. The smear campaign traces back to Jeffrey Williams, Mother's old friend from the country club. He's been coordinating with her lawyers. Then we go after him next, Warren said decisively. Every ally she has, every person helping her attack us, we expose them all. It's war, Felicity said softly. It's always been war, I replied. We just didn't know we were soldiers until now. Outside, reporters had found Terrence's office. Camera flashes strobed through the windows as they shouted questions. Ready to face them? Gemma asked, holding out her hand. I took it, feeling stronger with my unlikely family around me. Together? Warren grabbed his suit jacket. Together. As we prepared to face the media circus outside, I caught my reflection in the window. The woman looking back wasn't Monica's victim anymore. She was a survivor, a fighter, and she was ready for whatever came next. Let's show them what real strength looks like, I said, reaching for the door. The courthouse steps were packed with reporters as Monica was led out in handcuffs. Her designer suit had been replaced by prison orange, her perfectly styled hair now limp and graying. She held her head high, but her eyes told a different story. Guilty on all counts, Warren said beside me, his voice tight with emotion. 25 years. The mighty fall hard, Gemma murmured, squeezing my hand. Monica's eyes locked with mine as she passed. For a moment, I saw something I'd never seen before in them. Defeat. Then she was gone, swallowed by the waiting police vehicle. Ms. Fox, reporters shouted, how does it feel to be vindicated after the smear campaign? The truth speaks for itself, I replied, using the line Terrence had prepared. The evidence was clear. Back at Gemma's loft, we opened the champagne we'd been saving. Felicity arrived last, carrying a familiar leather briefcase. Found this in Mother's secret vault, she said, setting it down. There's something you should see, Cass. Inside was a file with my name on it. Documents dating back to before I met Warren. Background checks, surveillance photos, notes in Monica's precise handwriting. She was vetting you from the start, Felicity explained, looking for weaknesses she could exploit. But you know what she found? Nothing. It drove her crazy that she couldn't control you. Speaking of control, Warren pulled out an envelope. The divorce papers. I never filed them. I stared at the envelope. What are you saying? I'm saying I'd like to try again. Without Mother's influence, without the lies. He took my hand. The real us, this time. Warren, I started, but Gemma interrupted. Before you answer that, she said, there's something else you should know. She nodded to Terrence, who pulled out his laptop. The Foundation's legitimate charitable works, he said. They weren't all fake. Some of the programs actually helped people. I think we could rebuild it, the right way this time. We? Felicity asked. All of us, he replied. Clean slate, new board, total transparency. Use the Palmer name to do actual good for once. That would be the ultimate revenge, Gemma said with a smile. Taking everything Monica built for evil and turning it to good. My phone buzzed. A message from Killian. The house is yours if you want it. All of you. I'm moving to the lake house. Time for the next generation to build something better. So, what do you say? Warren asked softly. Partners? All of us? I looked around the room at these people who had become my real family. Gemma, fierce and loyal. Felicity, finding her strength. Terrence, with his unwavering integrity. And Warren, finally free to be himself. Partners, I agreed. But the divorce papers? Sign them. His face fell. Sign them, I continued. Because if we do this again, we do it right. New beginning, clean slate. We date, we take our time, we build trust. No shortcuts this time. He smiled, understanding dawning in his eyes. Deal. To new beginnings, Felicity raised her glass. And old endings, Gemma added, nodding toward the TV where Monica's conviction was still making headlines. You know she'll never stop, Terrence warned. Even from prison, she has connections. Let her try, I said. We're stronger together than she ever was alone. The sun was setting over the city, painting the sky in shades of possibility. My phone buzzed again, another message from an unknown number. But this time, I didn't feel fear. I felt ready. First board meeting tomorrow, Gemma asked, already pulling out her tablet to take notes. First date tomorrow, Warren corrected, looking at me hopefully. Both, I decided. Business in the morning, pleasure in the evening. We're building something new here. Might as well start right away. To the new Palmer Foundation, Felicity raised her glass again, built on truth instead of lies. To family, Gemma added, the ones we choose. To justice, Terrence said. To second chances, Warren looked at me. I raised my glass, thinking of Monica in her prison cell, of Richard finally getting justice, of all the possibilities ahead of us. To karma, I said, may it always find its way home. Outside, the city lights began to twinkle, each one a reminder that darkness never lasts forever. We had survived Monica's reign, emerged stronger, and now stood ready to write our own story. Not an ending, but a beginning. And this time, we'd write it together.
The text message from Daniel lit up my phone screen at 2 a.m. Tiff, you might want to keep an eye on the financial news tomorrow. What goes around comes around. I stared at those words, remembering the exact moment my world shattered 3 years ago. The memory is still fresh, like a wound that refuses to heal properly. My name is Tiffany, and I was married to Lucas for 8 years before he decided to blow up our lives. It happened on a Tuesday evening of all days. I'd just finished a video call with a supplier for my online boutique when Lucas walked into our home office, looking like he'd aged 10 years in a single day. We need to talk, he said, loosening his tie. Those 4 words made my stomach drop. I followed him to our living room, where the setting sun cast long shadows across our wedding photos. What's wrong? He paced, running his hands through his hair. I don't know how to say this. Just say it, Lucas. I'm in love with someone else. He stopped pacing, finally meeting my eyes. With Luna. The room started spinning. Luna! My sister Luna! It just happened, Tiff. We didn't mean for it to... I cut him off with a laugh that sounded more like a sob. My little sister? Are you fucking kidding me? We've been seeing each other for 6 months, he continued, as if that somehow made it better. She understands me in a way. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't you dare try to justify this. My phone buzzed. A text from Luna. I'm so sorry, can we talk? She's texting me right now, isn't she? Lucas asked, stepping closer. I backed away. Stay away from me. Both of you just stay away. Tiff, please, we need to handle this like adults. Like adults? I grabbed the nearest thing, a crystal vase he'd given me for our anniversary, and hurled it at the wall. It shattered spectacularly. Is that adult enough for you? He flinched. You're being hysterical. Hysterical? I laughed again, this time with real venom. My husband and sister have been fucking behind my back for 6 months, and I'm being hysterical. My phone started ringing. Hannah, my best friend. I ignored it. We didn't want to hurt you, Lucas said softly. It just happened. Things don't just happen, Lucas. You make choices. Both of you made choices. He sat heavily on our leather couch. I'll move out tonight. Stay with Daniel for a while. Your brother knows, Lucas nodded slowly. He doesn't approve. At least someone in this mess has a moral compass. I walked to our liquor cabinet and poured myself a generous glass of whiskey. How long were you planning to wait before telling me? Luna wanted to tell you weeks ago. I was afraid. I took a long sip. Afraid of what? Losing your comfortable life? Your reputation? Afraid of hurting you? Well, congratulations on failing spectacularly at that. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. Luna's crying her eyes out. What did you say to her? I showed Lucas the message. Looks like my sister's already playing victim. Don't be like that. She's really torn up about this. Get out. My voice was eerily calm now. Get your things and get out. He stood up slowly. Tiff. And tell Luna she can keep the Cartier bracelet I gave her for her birthday. Consider it a parting gift for destroying my marriage. Lucas packed a bag in silence while I sat in the kitchen drinking whiskey and ignoring the constant stream of messages on my phone. When he finally walked to the door, he paused. I really am sorry, he said. I never meant for any of this to happen. You know what the worst part is? I looked him straight in the eye. I actually believe you, but that makes it even worse because you're not even brave enough to own your decisions. After he left, I called Hannah. I'm coming over, she said before I could speak, and I'm bringing wine. Bring the expensive stuff, I replied. Apparently I'm about to be single again. I know. Daniel called me. She paused. He's furious with Lucas. Good to know someone is. I finished my whiskey. Did you know? God, no, I would have told you immediately, she sighed. Want me to key Luna's car while I'm at it? Despite everything, I smiled. No, but ask me again tomorrow. After hanging up, I walked to our bedroom, my bedroom now, and started pulling Lucas's clothes from the closet. Each item joined a growing pile on the floor, and with each addition, I felt a little stronger. My phone buzzed one final time. Another message from Daniel. I've got your back, Tiff. Always have, always will. I looked at the growing pile of Lucas's belongings and made a decision. Tomorrow I'd donate everything to Goodwill. Tonight I'd let myself break. But after that I'd make damn sure that losing me was the biggest mistake of Lucas's life. 6 months after Lucas left, I was sitting in my newly rented office space surrounded by boxes of inventory when Hannah burst through the door waving a magazine. Have you seen this? She demanded, slapping the glossy publication on my desk. There they were, splashed across the society pages, Lucas and Luna at some charity gala, her hand possessively on his arm, both of them beaming at the camera. The headline read, Securities firm heir and fashion entrepreneur make stunning couple at annual children's hospital benefit. Fashion entrepreneur? I scoffed. She has a Pinterest board and calls herself an influencer. Hannah perched on my desk. You okay? Honestly? I gestured at the boxes around us. I'm too busy to care. The online orders have tripled since last month. That's because your designs are amazing. Hannah picked up one of our signature blazers. Speaking of which, Willie called me. He wants to meet with you. I stopped typing. Willie Wolfe was practically fashion royalty in our city. What? Why? Because your stuff is good, dummy. Really good. She tossed the magazine in the trash. He's hosting a dinner tonight. I already told him you'd come. Hannah, get dressed. We're going shopping. She pulled me from my chair. And no arguing. You need this. 4 hours later, I was sitting across from Willie in one of the city's most exclusive restaurants, trying not to fidget with my wine glass. So, Willie said, studying me over his reading glasses. Tell me about your vision. I took a deep breath. I believe in accessible luxury, clothes that make women feel powerful without bankrupting them. And how's that working out? We're growing faster than I can handle, I admitted. I need more space, more staff, more everything. Willie nodded slowly. I saw your ex-sister-in-law wearing one of your designs last month. Didn't credit you, of course. Of course not. I sipped my wine. She probably forgot where she bought it. Stole it, you mean? His eyes twinkled. Daniel told me what happened. I stiffened. You know Daniel? I know everyone worth knowing in this city, dear. He leaned forward. Including people who could help you scale your business properly. My heart started racing. I'm listening. I'm hosting a fashion show next month. I want your collection in it. I nearly choked on my wine. What? Your designs are fresh, practical, and beautifully made. With the right backing, you could be huge. He pulled out a business card. Come to my office tomorrow. We'll talk details. Later that night, I called Daniel. Did you have something to do with this? I demanded when he answered. Hello to you too, he laughed. And maybe I mentioned your name to Willie, but he already knew about you. Why are you helping me? There was a long pause. Because what they did was wrong. And because you deserve better. My phone beeped with another call. My mother. I ignored it. She's still taking Luna's side? Daniel asked. When isn't she? I sighed. Apparently I'm being difficult by not attending family dinners anymore. Screw that. Come to dinner with me instead. I'm meeting Willie and some investors tomorrow night. The next morning, I walked into Willie's office clutching my portfolio. His assistant led me to a conference room where Willie sat with 3 other people. Ah, perfect timing, Willie said. We were just discussing investment strategies. 4 hours later, I emerged with a business plan, financial backing, and a spot in next month's fashion show. My phone had 7 missed calls from Luna. I finally answered on the 8th ring. What do you want, Luna? Mom says you're working with Willie Wolf now. Her voice was tight. How did that happen? Hard work. You should try it sometime. That's not fair. I work hard. At what? Posting Instagram stories about other people's designs? You're just jealous because Lucas and I are happy, she snapped. I laughed. Honey, I'm successful. You're just dating my leftovers. There was a sharp intake of breath. You're being cruel. No, cruel is sleeping with your sister's husband. This is just business. I hung up and walked to the full-length mirror in my office. The woman staring back at me looked different from the one who'd thrown that crystal vase 6 months ago. Stronger, sharper. My phone buzzed with a text from Hannah. Saw the announcement about the fashion show. Drinks tonight to celebrate. I smiled and typed back, can't. Business dinner with investors. Look at you all fancy now. Better not forget the little people when you're famous. Never. But I might conveniently forget to invite certain family members to my shows. Hannah replied with a string of laughing emojis. I looked at my reflection again and straightened my blazer. One of my own designs. In the glass, I could see the skyline of the city behind me, full of possibilities and promise. Watch me, I whispered to my reflection. Just watch me now. They want to manufacture in Bangladesh, Willie said, sliding the contract across his desk. The profit margins would be incredible. I stared at the numbers. He wasn't wrong. We'd make 3 times what we were currently earning. But something felt off. What about the working conditions? I asked. Willie shrugged. It's how the industry works, dear. Not my industry. I pushed the contract back. I built this brand on ethical production. I'm not changing that now. He smiled like he'd been expecting this response. Good girl. That was a test and you passed. A test? I needed to know if success would change your principles. He pulled out another contract. These manufacturers are in Portugal. Better working conditions, smaller margins, but still profitable. I was reading through the new contract when Hannah burst in. Turn on the news, she said, grabbing the remote from Willie's desk. The financial channel filled the massive screen on Willie's wall. Lucas was giving a press conference looking polished in one of his expensive suits. Our firm is proud to announce record profits this quarter, he was saying. We're expanding into emerging markets. Emerging markets? Willie scoffed. More like risky gambles. I turned to him. What do you mean? Your ex-husband is playing with fire. Daniel's been trying to warn him. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. Daniel? Are you watching this circus? He asked. Yeah, what's really going on? He's leveraged the firm to hell and back. Luna's encouraging him, saying they need to think big. I could hear the frustration in his voice. I tried to stop him, but he won't listen. After hanging up, I found Willie watching me carefully. Don't get distracted, he warned. Focus on your show next week. I am focused. I signed the Portugal contract. And I'm doubling our order. That evening, I was reviewing designs in my office when my mother showed up unannounced. You missed Sunday dinner again, she said, sitting down uninvited. I was working. You're always working. She picked up a sketch. Luna misses you. I snatched the sketch back. Funny how she didn't miss me when she was sleeping with my husband. Ex-husband, she corrected. And they're in love. When are you going to accept that and move on? I have moved on. This, I gestured around the office, is me moving on. By competing with your sister. I'm not competing with anyone. I'm building something real, not riding someone else's coattails. Luna says you're trying to sabotage her influencer career, I laughed. By doing what? Making clothes she copies? She has real talent. No, Mum. She has my old life, my old contacts, and apparently my old moral compass. I stood up. I have a meeting. Tiffany, please, she's your sister. Was my sister. Now she's just someone I used to know. After she left, I called Hannah. Want to hear something funny? I asked when she answered. Always. Apparently I'm sabotaging Luna's career by checks notes being successful. That's rich coming from Miss, I'll just post other people's designs and call myself creative. Mum thinks I should play nice. Your mum thinks the sun shines out of Luna's ass. Hannah paused. Speaking of Luna, have you seen her latest post? I pulled up Instagram. Luna had posted a photo of herself in one of my designs, a dress from the new collection that hadn't even launched yet. How did she get that sample? I demanded. Check the caption, Hannah said grimly. Under the photo, Luna had written, "Sneak peek of my upcoming collection. So excited to share my designs with you all." My hands were shaking as I dialed Willie. Someone leaked my designs, I said when he answered. I know. I'm already on it. His voice was steel. The sample's been traced. One of the new seamstresses was paid to steal it. Luna? Through a third party, but yes. Want me to handle it? I thought about my mother's plea for family harmony, about Luna's smug Instagram caption, about principles and karma and justice. Yes, I said. Handle it. An hour later, Luna's Instagram post was gone, replaced by a formal apology and retraction. The seamstress was fired, and I had learned a valuable lesson about trust. Willie called again that evening. The show's been moved up, he said. We're doing it in 3 days. What? Why? Because strike while the iron's hot, dear. Your sister's little stunt just gave us free publicity. Let's use it. I looked at the wall of my office where I'd pinned my favourite design, a power suit that had started this whole journey. 3 days, I repeated. Let's do it. That's my girl. He paused. Oh, and Tiffany, I've seated Luna and Lucas in the front row. Why? Because success is the best revenge, and I want them to have an excellent view of yours. The SEC is asking questions, Daniel said, sliding into the booth across from me at our usual coffee spot. Lucas is in trouble. I stirred my latte absently. How bad? Bad enough that he's drinking at noon. Daniel glanced around before lowering his voice. He's been falsifying reports, Tiff, making the firm look more stable than it is. And Luna? She's been pushing him to take bigger risks. They bought a new house last month, $7 million. I nearly choked on my coffee. $7 million. Money they don't have. He ran a hand through his hair. I tried warning him again yesterday. He threw me out of his office. My phone buzzed with a notification. Luna had posted another Instagram story, this time criticizing unethical business practices in the fashion industry. A thinly veiled attack on my company. She's getting desperate, Hannah said, joining us with her own coffee. The fashion blogs are starting to question her credibility after the design theft scandal. Daniel leaned forward. Speaking of scandals, you might want to watch your back. Lucas has been asking about your suppliers. Let him ask. I showed them my phone displaying an email from Vogue. They're featuring my collection next month. Hannah squealed and hugged me. Finally, the big leagues. Willie's influence? Daniel asked. My designs, Willie's connections, I corrected. There's a difference. My phone rang. My mother again. I declined the call. Still not talking to her? Hannah asked. She sent me a 3-page text about how I'm destroying Luna's dreams. I rolled my eyes. Apparently, my success is making Luna depressed. Your success is making Luna face reality, Daniel muttered. Just then, a breaking news alert flashed across the cafe's TV screen. Lucas's firm was facing an investigation over financial irregularities. Daniel's phone immediately started ringing. That's Lucas. I should take this. He stepped outside, leaving Hannah and me watching the news coverage. You okay? Hannah asked softly. Honestly, I feel nothing. I watched Lucas's face on the screen, remembering when I used to know every expression, every gesture. It's like watching a stranger's life implode. Hannah squeezed my hand. That's progress. Daniel returned, looking grim. He's panicking, wants me to transfer some of my assets to help cover their positions. Tell me you said no, I said. Of course I said no. I'm not going down with that ship. He checked his watch. I have to get back to the office. Just be careful, Tiff. They're both getting desperate. After he left, Hannah turned to me. What do you think they'll do? Something stupid. I pulled out my laptop, which is why I'm calling my lawyer. That afternoon, I was in a meeting with Willie when my assistant rushed in. Luna's outside, she said. She's demanding to see you. Willie raised an eyebrow. Want me to have security remove her? No. I stood up. I'll handle this. Luna was pacing my reception area, looking expensively disheveled. Finally, do you know how long I've been waiting? Do you know how many appointments I have? I countered. What do you want? This vendetta needs to stop, she snapped. Your success is built on destroying my reputation. My success is built on talent and hard work. Your reputation was destroyed when you stole my designs. I made one mistake. You made several, starting with Lucas. She flinched. That's different. We're in love. Are you? Or are you in love with his money? I stepped closer. Money that's apparently disappearing fast. Her face paled. You don't know anything. I know the SEC is investigating. I know you bought a house you can't afford. And I know you're here because you're scared. I'm here because you're my sister, she said, her voice breaking. Doesn't that mean anything? It meant everything. Until you proved it meant nothing to you. She grabbed my arm. Please, Tiffany, we need help. I carefully removed her hand. No, what you need is a reality check. And it looks like you're about to get one. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Her voice turned bitter. Watching us struggle while you succeed. I'm not enjoying anything. I'm just living my life. I walked to my office door. Something you should try doing without stealing from others. Mum was right, she spat. Success has made you cruel. No, Luna. Betrayal made me strong. There's a difference. I opened the door. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a business to run. After she left, Willie appeared in my doorway. Well handled. You heard? Every word. He smiled. You've come a long way from that woman who walked into my office a year ago. I looked out my window at the city skyline. I had good teachers. The best revenge is success, I finished. I know. No, he corrected. The best revenge is watching them realize what they lost. My phone buzzed with another news alert about Lucas's firm. From my window, I could see Luna's expensive car pulling away from the curb. Well, I said, looks like they're about to realize exactly that. The news broke on a Wednesday morning. I was in a design meeting when Hannah burst into the room, her face ashen. Turn on CNBC, she said, grabbing the remote. The headline scrolled across the bottom of the screen. Palmer Securities under federal investigation. CEO Lucas Palmer steps down amid fraud allegations. My phone immediately exploded with notifications. Daniel's message came first. "It's worse than we thought. They're freezing all assets." Willie appeared in my doorway. "Your office. Now." I followed him, leaving my stunned design team behind. Inside my office, he turned on multiple news channels simultaneously. "Their house has been seized," Willie said, pointing to one screen showing footage of police cars outside Lucas and Luna's mansion. "The feds moved fast." My mother called, then called again, and again. "You should answer," Willie advised, "before she shows up here." I picked up on the fourth call. "Hello, Mom? Have you seen the news?" She was crying. "They're saying terrible things about Lucas. Luna's devastated." "They're saying true things about Lucas," I corrected. "There's a difference. They need help, Tiffany. They need family." "Like I needed family when they betrayed me." She paused. "That was different." "No, Mom, it wasn't. I watched another news channel showing Lucas being escorted from his office. They made their choices. They're freezing Luna's accounts too. She has nothing." "She has you," I said coldly. "That's always been enough before." After hanging up, I found Hannah watching me carefully. "You okay?" she asked. "I should be celebrating," I admitted, "but I just feel empty." My phone buzzed again, an unknown number. I answered cautiously. "Tiffany." It was Lucas. He sounded broken. "Please don't hang up." "What do you want?" I messed up. Everything's gone. The house, the cars, our accounts. That tends to happen when you commit fraud. He made a sound between a laugh and a sob. I deserve that. But Luna doesn't. Please, she needs... "Don't." My voice was ice. "Don't you dare try to use my sister to manipulate me." "She's sleeping in her car, Tiffany. All her cards are frozen." "That's not my problem. You're really going to let your sister be homeless?" "My sister?" I laughed bitterly. My sister died the day she decided to sleep with my husband. After hanging up, I found Willie still watching the news coverage. "They'll come after your company next," he warned. "Try to smear you in the press." Right on cue, my assistant rushed in. "Luna's giving an interview on Channel 4. She's saying things." We turned up the volume. Luna, looking perfectly disheveled in designer clothes, was crying prettily for the cameras. "My sister's company used predatory practices," she was saying. "She deliberately tried to destroy my career out of jealousy. She couldn't stand seeing Lucas and me happy." Willie muted the TV. "Want me to handle this?" "No." I picked up my phone. "I'll do it myself." I dialed my PR team and put them on speaker. "Release the documentation. All of it." "The design theft evidence?" my PR director asked. "The cease and desist letters?" "Everything, including the security footage of her paying our seamstress to steal samples." Hannah gasped. "You had footage?" "I always keep receipts." I turned to Willie. "Can you call in that favor from the fashion blog network?" He smiled wickedly. "Already done. They're running the expose in an hour." By evening, Luna's interview had backfired spectacularly. The fashion blogs were running detailed timelines of her design theft attempts. Social media was flooded with side-by-side comparisons of my designs and her original pieces. Daniel called as I was leaving the office. "Lucas is trying to claim ignorance of the fraud," he said, blaming his CFO. "Will it work?" "No. I gave the feds everything I had. Emails, meeting recordings, all of it." I stopped walking. "You recorded him?" "Started the day he left you. I knew this would end badly." He paused. "I just didn't know how badly." My phone buzzed with another text from my mother. "Luna's here. She's hysterical. Please call me." I showed the message to Hannah, who had stayed late to support me. "Don't you dare," she warned. "I wasn't going to." I put my phone away. "They made their bed." "Speaking of beds," Hannah said carefully, "she really is sleeping in her car." "No, she isn't. She's at Mom's being consoled and coddled like always." As if to prove my point, another text from Mom arrived. "She's sleeping in your old room, please, sweetheart. She needs her big sister." I deleted the message without responding. "You know what the funny thing is?" I said to Hannah as we left the office. "A year ago, this would have destroyed me. Now, Now? I looked at the city lights, at my company's name on the building, at everything I'd built from the ashes of their betrayal. Now it just feels like karma finally showed up to collect. The knock on my door came at midnight. I knew it was Luna before I even checked the security camera. Only she would have this kind of timing. She looked terrible. Designer clothes wrinkled, makeup smeared, holding a Louis Vuitton suitcase that had seen better days. "Mom kicked me out," she said when I opened the door. I leaned against the doorframe. "Why?" "Because I sold her jewelry to pay my lawyer," her voice cracked. "I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice, Luna. You just keep making bad ones." She pushed past me into my apartment. "I have nowhere else to go." "That sounds like a you problem." But I closed the door anyway. "Why did you really come here?" "Because you're my sister." She collapsed onto my couch. "Because you're the only one who always figured things out. Until you destroyed that too." "I know." She started crying. "I know I ruined everything, but I loved him, Tiffany. I really did." "Where is he now?" "Staying with some college friend." She wiped her eyes. "He won't return my calls." My phone buzzed. "Hannah, you okay?" "Security called, said Luna showed up." "I'm fine," I texted back, handling it. Luna was staring at my living room wall, covered in framed magazine covers featuring my designs. "You really made it, didn't you?" "No thanks to you." "I was jealous," she admitted quietly. "You were always the successful one, the smart one. I just wanted—" "What? My life, my husband?" "To be like you." She met my eyes. "But I couldn't build something of my own, so I took yours instead." Willie's call interrupted whatever I was about to say. "Turn on the news," he said without preamble. "They're arresting Lucas." Luna scrambled for the remote. There he was, being led out of his friend's house in handcuffs, looking nothing like the polished executive he'd once been. "Oh God," Luna whispered. "This is really happening." "The FBI found offshore accounts," Willie continued. "He was hiding millions. Luna's name is on some of them." I looked at my sister, suddenly understanding her presence. "You knew." She shrank back. "Tiffany, you knew about the accounts, and you came here because you think I'll protect you." "Please," she begged. "I didn't understand what he was doing. He just told me to sign things." "Like you didn't understand what you were doing when you slept with my husband." My phone rang again. Daniel this time. "The feds want to talk to Luna," he said when I answered. "They're offering a deal if she cooperates." I put the phone on speaker. "Tell her, Daniel, she's here." Luna listened as Daniel explained the deal. Immunity in exchange for testimony against Lucas. "He'll hate me," she whispered. "He already does," Daniel said bluntly. "He's been telling everyone you were the mastermind." She crumpled, finally breaking completely. "I never meant... I just wanted to be important," I finished. "To be special, to have what I had." She nodded miserably. "Call your lawyer," I said, surprising myself. "Take the deal." "You're helping me?" She looked up, mascara streaking her cheeks. "Why?" "Because unlike you, I actually understand what family means." I walked to my desk and wrote down a number. "This is my lawyer's contact. He'll help coordinate with the feds." "I don't deserve this." "No, you don't." I handed her the paper. "But maybe hitting rock bottom will finally teach you something about consequences." Willie called again. "The press knows Luna's involved. They'll be at your building by morning." "Already?" I watched Luna making calls in my guest room. "Your doorman tipped them off. Want me to handle it?" I thought about my sister, about karma, about choices and consequences. "No," I decided. "Let them come." After hanging up, I found Luna standing in my doorway. "The lawyers want to meet tomorrow," she said. I don't have anywhere to stay." "The guest room is made up." I pointed down the hall. "But Luna." "Yes? This is temporary, and it comes with conditions. Anything. You'll tell the complete truth. About everything, the fraud, the design theft, all of it." She nodded slowly. "And when this is over, you'll get a real job. No more influencer games, no more riding coattails." I don't know how to do anything else, she admitted. Then you'll learn, like I did, the hard way. My phone buzzed one final time. My mother. Is Luna with you? Please take care of her. I showed Luna the message. Funny how she never sent messages like this about me. I'm sorry, Luna whispered, for everything. I know. I headed to my room. But sorry doesn't fix things, Luna. Actions do. Will you ever forgive me? I paused at my door. Ask me again when you've earned it. The conference room felt too small for all the tension it contained. Lucas sat at one end of the table, his lawyer beside him. Luna sat at the other, looking anywhere but at him. I was there because both their lawyers thought I might help negotiate a settlement. This is a waste of time, Lucas snapped. She betrayed me. That's rich coming from you, Luna shot back. You told the FBI I masterminded everything. You pushed me to take those risks. And you pushed me to steal Tiffany's designs. Luna's voice cracked. We both did terrible things. I cleared my throat. If you're done with the blame game, can we focus on why we're here? Lucas's lawyer stepped in. My client is willing to take full responsibility for the financial fraud, provided Ms. Luna cooperates in returning certain assets. What assets? I asked. The offshore accounts, Luna's lawyer explained. Lucas claims they were set up without his knowledge. Lucas laughed bitterly. You knew exactly what you were doing. All those shopping sprees, the house, the cars. Where did you think the money came from? You told me the firm was doing well. Luna's mascara was starting to run. You said we deserved it. Enough. I stood up. You both knew what you were doing. You both chose to do it anyway. Now, deal with the consequences. My phone buzzed, a text from Willie. The press is outside. Handle this fast. Lucas noticed my phone. Already alerting the media. The media's been here, I said coldly. They're very interested in how the mighty have fallen. Luna started crying. I'll sign whatever you want. Just make this stop. It's too late for that, her lawyer said gently. But cooperation will help your case. Lucas stood suddenly. This is all your fault, Tiffany. If you hadn't been so successful, so perfect, Luna wouldn't have... Careful, I cut him off. Your prison sentence depends on what happens in this room. He deflated, sinking back into his chair. I lost everything. No, I corrected. You threw everything away. There's a difference. The lawyers exchanged documents while Luna continued crying and Lucas stared at the wall. My phone buzzed again. Hannah this time. How's it going? She texted. Like watching a car crash in slow motion, I replied. Want me to bring wine later? Bring the whole liquor store. Luna's voice pulled me back to the room. I'll tell them everything, she was saying. About the accounts, the fraud, all of it. Lucas's face hardened. Then I'll tell them about the design theft, the corporate espionage. Go ahead, I interrupted. I've already provided the FBI with all that evidence. They both stared at me. What evidence? Luna whispered. Everything. Security footage, bank transfers, all the documentation of your little schemes. I smiled without warmth. I learned to keep receipts. Lucas turned to his lawyer. Can we have the room? The lawyers looked at me. I nodded, and they filed out. Why are you really here, Tiffany? Lucas asked once we were alone. Because despite everything, I wanted to see if either of you had changed. I looked between them. Clearly, I was wrong. Luna reached for my hand. I pulled away. Please, she begged, tell me how to fix this. You can't fix it, but you can face it. I stood up. Take the deals, tell the truth, start over. Easy for you to say, Lucas muttered. You're on top of the world. I'm on top of the world because I built something real. I walked to the door. Try it sometime. As I opened the door, my mother was standing there. I heard about the meeting, she said. I came to support Luna. Of course you did. I stepped aside. She's all yours. Tiffany, wait. My mother grabbed my arm. Can't we just be a family again? I looked at Luna, still crying. At Lucas, defeated and angry. At my mother, desperately trying to fix what couldn't be fixed. We stopped being a family the day these two decided their happiness was worth more than mine. I gently removed her hand. Now we're just people who share DNA. You're being cruel, my mother said. No, I'm being honest. You should try it sometime. I walked out, leaving them with their lawyers and their consequences. In the lobby, Willie was waiting. Well, he asked, they're taking the deals. I pushed through the revolving doors into a sea of cameras and reporters. Any comment on your sister's involvement in the fraud? Someone shouted. How do you feel about your ex-husband's arrest? I stopped at the top of the steps, cameras flashing. The truth always comes out, I said clearly, and karma always collects. As the reporters erupted with more questions, I felt my phone buzz one final time. A message from Daniel. You did the right thing. Dinner tonight. I smiled, finally feeling lighter. Yes, I typed back. I think I've earned a celebration. The morning newspaper landed on my desk with a thud. Hannah pointed to the headline. Fashion Empire CEO Tiffany acquires rival brand in historic deal. Not bad for someone who started in a spare bedroom, she grinned. Have you seen the other headlines? Willie walked in, tablet in hand. Former Securities CEO Lucas sentenced to 15 years. They're calling it the fraud of the decade. I pushed both articles aside. Any word from Luna? She started her community service yesterday, Daniel said, joining us. Working at a women's shelter of all places. The irony wasn't lost on any of us. Your mother called my office again, Willie mentioned. She wants to discuss a family reconciliation. Still trying to fix what can't be fixed, I muttered. My assistant knocked and entered. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see you. Says she won't leave without talking to you. I expected my mother. Instead, Luna walked in wearing plain clothes and no makeup, a far cry from her influencer days. Can we talk? She asked quietly. Please. Hannah squeezed my shoulder as everyone filed out, leaving us alone. You look different, I said. The shelter doesn't allow designer clothes. She managed a small smile. Actually, they don't allow much of what I used to think was important. Why are you here? To give you this. She placed an envelope on my desk. It's everything I have left. The money from selling my clothes, jewelry, everything. It's not much, but... I opened the envelope. What's this for? Restitution. For the designs I stole. The damage I caused. She met my eyes. I know it doesn't fix anything, but it's a start. Keep it, I said, sliding the envelope back. Use it to build something real this time. I don't deserve your kindness. This isn't kindness, it's investment in your redemption. I leaned forward. Prove me right. My phone buzzed. A news alert about Lucas's sentencing. Luna saw it too. I visited him yesterday, she said. He still blames everyone but himself. And you? I blame myself. Every day. She twisted her hands together. The shelter director says that's actually progress. A knock at the door interrupted us. Willie again. Sorry, but the board is waiting for the acquisition meeting. Luna stood to leave. I should go anyway. My shift starts soon. Luna? I called as she reached the door. How's Mom taking all this? She's struggling. Still wants everything to go back to how it was. Luna paused. I told her it never can, that maybe it shouldn't. After she left, Willie studied me carefully. You okay? Actually, yes. I picked up the acquisition papers. Let's go make history. The boardroom was packed with executives and lawyers when we arrived. As I took my seat at the head of the table, Hannah slipped me a note. Karma's not just a bitch, she's the CEO. I smiled, then addressed the room. Let's talk about the future. Later that evening, I found Daniel waiting in my office. Heard about Luna's visit, he said. You're a better person than most. Not better, just clearer about what matters. I gathered my things. Dinner? Actually, I had something else in mind. He handed me an envelope. Open it. Inside was a deed to a small storefront, the same one I'd dreamed of owning when I first started my business. It came on the market yesterday, he explained. I thought maybe it could be your first flagship store. Daniel, you built an empire from nothing, Tiff, but everyone needs a reminder of where they started. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Luna. The shelter needs business clothes for women returning to work. Any chance your company could help? I showed Daniel the message. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking about karma, second chances, and the difference between revenge and justice. I typed back, send me the details. Let's build something good out of all this. Daniel smiled. Willie was right about you. About what? Success really is the best revenge. No, I corrected, looking around at everything I'd built, everything I'd become. Success isn't revenge at all. It's liberation. We walked out together, past the wall of magazine covers, past the awards and accolades, past all the symbols of what I'd achieved. But it was the small framed photo on my desk that caught my eye, the one of me in my spare bedroom, surrounded by fabric samples and dreams. Ready? Daniel asked. I picked up my bag, leaving the newspapers and their headlines behind. Ready. Because in the end, it wasn't about revenge or karma or even justice. It was about building something stronger than betrayal, something more powerful than hurt. It was about becoming someone who didn't need revenge anymore. And that, I realized, was the greatest victory of all.
I smoothed down my silk dress for the 100th time, watching the anniversary banner flutter in the evening breeze. Celebrating 10 years of love, Sydney and Lyle sparkled in gold letters, mocking me with every gentle sway. My name is Sydney, and this was supposed to be the happiest night of my marriage. Instead, it became the night everything fell apart. You look stunning, sis. Sadie appeared beside me, champagne flute in hand. Though I still think you should have gone with the red dress. Lyle likes blue, I replied automatically, then caught myself. Why did I still care what he liked? The garden party was in full swing, fairy lights twinkling in the trees of our backyard. 50 of our closest friends and family members mingled around elegant cocktail tables, their laughter carrying across the manicured lawn. My best friend Elise had helped plan every detail, right down to the hand-calligraphed place cards. Elise, who hadn't arrived yet. Elise, who'd been mysteriously busy lately. Where's Lyle? Sadie asked, scanning the crowd. Isn't it time for his speech? Probably inside preparing. You know how he likes to make an entrance. Right on cue, my husband emerged from the house, looking devastatingly handsome in his tailored suit. But something was off in his expression, a glint in his eye I'd never seen before. Everyone, if I could have your attention, please. Lyle's voice carried across the garden. The chatter died down as guests turned toward him. First, I want to thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate 10 wonderful years with my beautiful wife, Sydney. Polite applause. I forced a smile, trying to ignore the knot forming in my stomach. However, he continued, tonight isn't just about celebrating the past. It's about embracing the future. He extended his hand toward the house. Elise, darling. The world tilted sideways as Elise stepped out, wearing a red dress that hugged every curve. She took Lyle's hand, and they shared a look that told me everything I needed to know. Many of you know Elise as Sydney's best friend, Lyle announced. But for the past year, she's been much more than that to me. She's shown me what real love feels like. The garden erupted in gasps and murmurs. Sadie's hand found mine, squeezing tight. Sydney! Lyle turned to me, his voice dripping with false sympathy. I'm sorry it had to happen this way, but Elise and I are in love. We're moving to the coast house, and my lawyer will be in touch about the divorce. I stood frozen, champagne flute trembling in my hand, as my husband and best friend smiled at our guests like they were announcing an engagement rather than destroying my life. You bastard! Sadie hissed, starting forward. But I held her back. Not here, I whispered. Not now. Elise caught my eye across the garden. She had the audacity to mouth, I'm sorry, before turning back to Lyle, who was now proposing a toast to new beginnings. The party dissolved into chaos. Some guests hurried to leave. Others clustered in shocked groups, whispering behind their hands. My mother, Vada, appeared at my side, her face tight with fury. Sydney, honey, let's get you inside. No,
My voice came out stronger than I expected. This is my house, my party. I'm not going anywhere. I walked straight to the bar, set down my champagne, and picked up a bottle of Lyle's favorite scotch, the $300 bottle he'd been saving for a special occasion. Without breaking eye contact with him, I poured the entire thing onto his precious imported roses. "Sydney!" he barked, finally losing his composure. "Those roses are mine now," I finished coldly. "Along with everything else you thought you could take from me." I turned to the remaining guests, my voice clear and steady. "Thank you all for coming. Unfortunately, the party's over. Please drive safely." As people filed out, I caught snippets of conversation. "Can you believe the nerve? Poor Sydney. Always knew there was something off about him." Sadie stayed by my side until the last guest left, then pulled me into a fierce hug. "What do you need?" I pulled back, my mind already racing with possibilities. "I need Noah's number, the lawyer who handled Carmen's divorce last year." "The shark?" Sadie raised an eyebrow. "I thought you said he was too aggressive." I watched Lyle and Elise climb into his Mercedes, probably heading to the coast house he'd mentioned, the house I'd helped him buy. Aggressive is exactly what I need right now. As their taillights disappeared down the driveway, I felt something shift inside me. The shock and hurt were still there, but underneath was something stronger. Determination. "They think they've won," I said quietly. "They have no idea what's coming." Noah's office smelled like leather and success. He studied the stack of photos I'd placed on his mahogany desk, his expression unreadable behind wire-rimmed glasses. "How long have you been collecting evidence?" he asked, spreading out the surveillance photos. Each one showed Lyle and Elise at various locations over the past month. Restaurants, hotels, the coast house. 6 weeks, I replied. "Ever since I found receipts for jewelry I never received." "Smart." He nodded approvingly. "Most clients come to me after the fact, running on emotion. You came prepared." I pulled out my phone, opening a spreadsheet. "I've documented everything. Missing money from our joint accounts, suspicious transfers, business trips that never happened. The private investigators' reports are thorough," Noah said, flipping through the file. "Hotel receipts, credit card statements. You've done half my job for me. I learned from Lyle's mistakes." I leaned forward. "He always underestimated me because I let him handle the finances. But I've been watching, learning, documenting." A knock interrupted us. Noah's assistant poked her head in. "Mr. Gibson is here to see you." I straightened in my chair as Cade walked in, looking uncomfortable in his business suit. As Lyle's partner, I hadn't expected him to agree to meet. "Sydney," he nodded, taking the seat beside me. "I came because, well, there are things you need to know." Noah pulled out a legal pad. "Mr. Gibson, you understand this conversation is being recorded?" "Yeah." Cade ran a hand through his hair. "Look, Sydney, Lyle's been moving money around. Big amounts. The coast house? He didn't just buy it for a lease. He's been funneling company funds through shell corporations." My hands clenched in my lap. "How much?" "Millions." Cade looked sick. "I confronted him last week. He said he'd make me a partner in his new venture if I kept quiet. But after what he did to you at the party," he shook his head. "I can't be part of this." Noah's pen scratched across his pad. "Would you be willing to testify?" "Yes. I've brought documentation." Cade pulled out a USB drive. "Everything's here. Fake invoices, wire transfers, the works." I felt dizzy. All this time, while I was planning anniversary parties. "Don't!" Noah cut in sharply. "Don't blame yourself. Channel that energy into taking him down." My phone buzzed. A text from Sadie. "He just posted pics from the coast house on Insta. You okay?" I showed Noah the message. His smile was predatory. "Perfect! They're documenting their affair for us." "What's our next move?" I asked. First, we freeze the accounts." Noah started typing on his laptop. "Then we file for divorce, citing adultery and financial fraud. The evidence is solid. We'll hit him where it hurts. His reputation, his money, everything." "He'll fight back," I warned. Let him. Noah's eyes gleamed. I haven't lost a case like this in 5 years, and none of my previous clients came this prepared. Cade stood to leave. I should go before anyone sees me here. Sydney, I'm sorry. I should have said something sooner. After he left, Noah turned to me. How do you want to serve him the papers? I thought about the anniversary party, about Lyle's smug smile as he humiliated me in front of everyone. He likes audiences, right? Let's give him one. The next evening, I walked into La Maison, the upscale restaurant where Lyle always entertained clients. Sure enough, he was there with Elise and 2 potential investors. Sydney! Elise's face drained of color. What are you— Don't get up, I said sweetly, nodding to the process server who appeared beside me. This will only take a moment. Mr. Jensen, the server announced loudly, you've been served. The restaurant fell silent as Lyle opened the envelope, his face darkening as he read. When he reached the part about financial fraud, his hands started shaking. You can't prove any of this, he snarled. Actually, I smiled, I can. Cade says hi, by the way. Elise grabbed the papers, her eyes widening. Lyle, what is this about shell corporations? I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Elise, you might want to check whose name is actually on the deed to that coast house. Enjoy your dinner. Outside, Sadie was waiting in her car. How did it go? Perfectly. I buckled my seatbelt, hands trembling with adrenaline. You should have seen their faces when I mentioned Cade. Think they'll figure out how long you've been planning this? I watched the restaurant disappear in the side mirror. They're about to figure out a lot of things, and this is just the beginning. You're turning into your father. Mom's words hit me like a slap as she poured tea in her sunlit kitchen. All this plotting and scheming for revenge. This isn't revenge, Mom. It's justice. I watched steam curl from my untouched cup. And please don't compare me to Dad. He said the same thing, you know, before he took everything from me in the divorce. Sadie, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. This is different, Mom. Lyle committed actual fraud. And what about forgiveness? Mom pressed. What about taking the high road? The high road? I stood up so quickly, my chair scraped against the tile. Like you did when Dad left? When you let him walk away with everything because you were too proud to fight? Sydney. No, Mom. I watched you struggle for years because you wanted to be dignified about it. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not letting Lyle destroy me like Dad destroyed you. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom's hands trembled as she set down her teacup. I didn't fight your father because I was proud, she said quietly. I didn't fight because I was scared. Scared of becoming bitter. Scared of what that bitterness would do to you girls. And look how well that worked out. I laughed harshly. Here I am, bitter anyway. My phone buzzed. A text from Noah. Emergency meeting. Lyle's making moves. I have to go. I grabbed my purse. Sadie, you coming? Sydney, wait. Mom caught my arm. Just be careful. Revenge has a way of changing people. I'm already changed, Mom. Lyle and Elise saw to that. Outside, Sadie caught up with me. She means well, you know. I know, but she doesn't understand. This isn't just about Lyle and Elise anymore. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone, showing her an email I'd received that morning. Remember Angela from accounting? She sent me proof that Lyle's been stealing from employee pension funds. Jesus Christ! Sadie's eyes widened. Does Noah know? That's what the emergency meeting is about. This is bigger than our divorce now. At Noah's office, we found him surrounded by papers, looking grimmer than usual. Lyle's trying to liquidate assets, he said without preamble. He's also filed a countersuit, claiming you knew about the business dealings and approved them. That's ridiculous, I scoffed. I have emails proving he kept me in the dark. I know, but he's desperate, and desperate people are dangerous. Noah leaned back. There's something else. Elise came to see me this morning. My stomach dropped. What? She wants to talk. Says she has information about Lyle's offshore accounts. It's a trap, Sadie said immediately. Probably, Noah agreed. But if she's telling the truth, this could be huge. I thought about Elise, my best friend since college. The woman who'd held my hand through my father's funeral, who'd helped me plan my wedding, who'd betrayed me in the worst possible way. Set up the meeting, I decided. But on our terms. Later that night, I sat in my empty house, looking through old photos. There was one of Mom, Sadie, and me at my graduation. Mom looked so proud, so hopeful for my future. My phone rang, an unknown number. Sydney? It was Vada, Lyle's mother. Please don't hang up. What do you want? To apologize. What my son did. It's unforgivable. But there's something you should know about his father's death. I sat up straighter. Lyle's father had died in a boating accident 5 years ago, leaving Lyle the business. The insurance investigation, Vada continued, her voice shaking. There were questions, things that didn't add up. Lyle was the last person to see him alive. Are you saying... I'm saying be careful, Sydney. My son, he's not who any of us thought he was. After hanging up, I called Noah. We need to look into Lyle's father's death, I said without preamble. Already on it, he replied. The insurance investigator reached out to me yesterday. Seems he never believed it was an accident. I looked at the photo of my family again, at my mother's face, worn but dignified in her grief. Mom was wrong, I whispered. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about stopping him before he hurts anyone else. Sydney? Noah's voice was gentle. Are you sure you want to go down this road? Once we start digging into his father's death, I'm sure. I touched my mother's face in the photo. Some things are worth fighting for, even if they change us. The insurance investigator found this in the archived files. Noah spread crime scene photos across his desk. Notice anything strange about the boat's steering mechanism? I leaned closer, studying the images of Lyle's father's yacht. It looks tampered with. Exactly. Noah pulled out another document. The investigator was building a case, but suddenly dropped it. A week later, he bought a house in Florida, cash payment. Lyle paid him off, I breathed. That's our theory. But proving it now. Noah shrugged. What matters is the pattern. Your husband has a history of making problems disappear with money. Not this time. I handed him a USB drive. Angela sent more files. Employee complaints, missing funds, everything. Noah plugged in the drive, scanning the documents. His eyebrows shot up. This is significant. With this evidence, we can... A knock interrupted us. Noah's assistant ushered in Elise, who looked smaller somehow, her designer clothes hanging loose on her frame. Sydney! She wouldn't meet my eyes. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Talk fast, I said coldly. She pulled out her phone, hands shaking. 2 days ago, I found these on Lyle's laptop. She showed us photos of documents, banking statements, offshore accounts. He doesn't know I saw them. He's been getting strange calls lately, speaking in Russian. Noah took the phone, examining the images. These are legitimate banking documents, Russian oligarch connections. This is serious money laundering. Why are you showing us this? I demanded. Elise's eyes filled with tears. Because I'm scared, Sid. The things I've heard him say on those calls. He's not who I thought he was. Last night, he was talking about taking care of loose ends. My blood ran cold, remembering Vada's warning. Did he mention specific names? Noah asked sharply. Cade. Elise wiped her eyes. He knows Cade talked to you. I grabbed my phone, dialing Cade's number. Straight to voicemail. I'll send someone to check on him, Noah said, already making calls. There's more, Elise continued. The Coast House? It's not just a love nest. There's a safe room in the basement. I saw him storing documents there, but he caught me looking. Is that why you're really here? I studied her face. Because he caught you? She nodded miserably. He changed after that, started watching me constantly. I realized I'm just another loose end. Noah's phone buzzed. His face darkened as he read the message. Cade's gone. His apartment's been ransacked. Oh, God! Elise started shaking. He's really doing it. We need to move fast, Noah said, gathering papers. I'm calling the FBI. This is beyond white-collar crime now. What about Cade? I asked. I have a contact in missing persons. We'll find him. Noah turned to Elise. We'll need your official statement. I'll tell them everything, she whispered. Just protect me, please. I looked at my former best friend, seeing not the woman who betrayed me, but someone as trapped as I once was. You can stay with Sadie, I heard myself say. She has security cameras, and Lyle doesn't know where she lives. Sydney, Elise's voice broke. I'm so sorry for everything. Save it. This isn't forgiveness. This is survival. Noah's assistant burst in. Turn on the news, now! The TV flickered to life, showing breaking news. Local businessman found injured in apparent hit and run. The bottom dropped out of my stomach as Cade's photo appeared on screen. He's alive, Noah said quickly. In critical condition, but alive. My phone rang. Sadie. Are you watching the news? Mom just called. 2 men were asking questions about you in her neighborhood. Get Mom and bring her to your place, I ordered. Now, don't stop for anything. After hanging up, I turned to Noah. How fast can we move on this? I've got FBI agents standing by. But Sydney, he hesitated. Once we pull this trigger, there's no going back. Your life will never be the same. I thought about Cade in the hospital, about Elise's haunted eyes, about the boat that killed Lyle's father. My life changed the moment I married him, I said. I just didn't know it then. Noah nodded, picking up his phone. I'll make the call. As he spoke to the FBI, I watched Elise huddled in her chair, Cade's face frozen on the TV screen, and felt a strange calm settle over me. This wasn't about my marriage anymore. It wasn't even about revenge. It was about justice. And justice, I was learning, could be more devastating than any revenge. FBI agents swarmed Sadie's living room, setting up surveillance equipment while Mom stress-baked in the kitchen. The smell of chocolate chip cookies filled the air, a surreal contrast to the gravity of our situation. Your husband's got friends in high places, Agent Torres said, showing me surveillance photos. Russian connections, dirty politicians, judges on the payroll. This goes deeper than we thought. Tell them about the boat accident, Elise called from the kitchen, where she was helping Mom. I watched Mom's hands freeze mid-scoop. What about a boat accident? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with Lyle's number. The room fell silent. Put it on speaker, Agent Torres instructed, signaling her team to record. I answered. Hello, Lyle. Darling. His voice was silk over steel. We need to talk about Cade's unfortunate accident. Accident? I kept my voice steady. Like your father's accident? A pause. Careful, Sydney. You're playing a dangerous game. No, Lyle, you are. How many accidents are you responsible for? I'm trying to be civil, he said. Call off the FBI, drop the divorce proceedings, and this all goes away. Otherwise, he let the threat hang. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a way out. More than I offered my father when he threatened to expose my early business dealings, more than I'm offering Cade if he wakes up. The FBI agents exchanged glances, frantically taking notes. You just confessed to attempted murder, I said. Lyle laughed. On an unrecorded line? Prove it. Agent Torres held up her tablet, showing the active recording. Check your facts, darling, I replied. And check your phone. The FBI says hi. The line went dead. We got it, Agent Torres confirmed. That confession, combined with the financial evidence. We can move on him now. Sadie burst through the front door. They found Lyle's hitman. He's talking. What? Elise jumped up. How? Turns out he has a conscience. And a family. Sadie dropped her bag. He's giving up everything. The boat accident, Cade, all of it. Mom sat heavily on the couch. I can't believe this. I helped plan his father's funeral. I consoled him. He fooled everyone, I said quietly. Not everyone. Sadie pulled out her laptop. Remember that intern who quit suddenly last year? I found her. She played a video call. A young woman appeared on screen. I have recordings, the former intern said. Conversations between Lyle and Elise from before your anniversary party. They were planning everything. How to humiliate you, how to take control of the company. Elise went pale. That was different. I didn't know about the other things then. Play it, I ordered. The recording started. Lyle's voice, then Elise's laughter. Once Sydney's out of the picture, we'll have everything. What about the employees' pension fund? Already moved offshore. By the time anyone notices... I turned to Elise. You knew about the stolen pensions? She crumpled. At first, it seemed like clever business. By the time I realized... Get out! My voice shook. Sydney, please! Agent Torres, please remove her. She's just confessed to being an accessory. As agents led Elise away, Mom touched my shoulder. Are you okay? No. I watched Elise's tears, remembering years of friendship turn to ash. But I will be. My phone buzzed. A text from Noah. Hospital called. Cade's awake. I need to go, I told Agent Torres. Cade might remember something. Take a protection detail, she insisted. Lyle's desperate now, desperate men. Do desperate things, I finished. I know. I married one. At the hospital, Cade was pale but alert. Sydney, he croaked. I remember the car, black SUV. Lyle was driving. You're sure? Positive. He didn't even try to hide his face, just smiled and hit the gas. I squeezed his hand. We got him, Cade. It's over. Not yet. He struggled to sit up. There's a storage unit. Address is in my phone. Everything's there. Original documents, recordings, a backup drive. I was heading there when... A commotion erupted in the hallway. Agent Torres burst in. Lyle's gone, she announced. Private plane took off 20 minutes ago. Russian registration. He's running, I realized. With our money, Cade added bitterly. I thought about the evidence mounting against Lyle, about Elise's betrayal, about all the lives destroyed in his wake. Let him run, I said finally. The truth is already out. His empire is falling. Sometimes losing everything is worse than prison. Speaking from experience? Cade asked softly. I looked out the hospital window at the setting sun. No, I didn't lose everything. I just lost what I thought I had. And maybe that's not the same thing at all. The coast house stood empty, yellow crime scene tape fluttering in the ocean breeze. I stepped carefully through the front door, followed by Agent Torres and her team. The safe room's this way, I said, leading them downstairs. The basement smelled like expensive leather and fear. Behind a false wine rack, we found the hidden door Elise had mentioned. It took the FBI tech team 20 minutes to crack the electronic lock. My God, Agent Torres breathed as the door swung open. The room was a testament to Lyle's paranoia. Multiple computers, servers, file cabinets. On one wall, a corkboard displayed photos connected by red string. Me, Cade, business associates, even his own mother. He was tracking everyone, I murmured. Look at this. Torres pointed to a document on the desk. Transfer orders. He didn't just run with the money. He's been planning this escape for months. My eyes caught on a familiar box in the corner. That's our wedding album. Inside, instead of photos, I found stacks of cash and fake passports. Our entire marriage had literally been a cover story. Sydney? Mom's voice echoed from upstairs. Are you down there? Mrs. Murphy, this is an active crime scene, Torres started. Let her come, I called back. She needs to see this. Mom descended the stairs slowly, taking in the surveillance equipment, the wall of photos, the evidence of Lyle's true nature. I found this at home, she said, holding out a letter. It came this morning. The envelope bore a Russian postmark. Inside was a single page. Sydney, by now you've found everything. Congratulations on finally showing some backbone. But ask yourself, did you win? The money's gone. Your reputation's tied to mine. And sweet, naive Elise? She played you better than I ever did. Ask her about Atlantic City last year. Lyle. What happened in Atlantic City? Torres asked. My hands shook. I had a miscarriage. Elise was with me at the hospital, while Lyle was supposedly at a business conference. Check the surveillance board, a junior agent called out. There's a folder marked Atlantic City. The photos inside showed Lyle and Elise at a casino, all over each other, while I was losing our baby. The timestamp matched perfectly. Sydney. Mom reached for me. Don't. I stepped back, bumping into the desk. A frame fell, glass shattering. Beneath the broken shards lay a familiar document. My father's old business card. What was Dad's card doing here? Mom went very still. There's something I never told you about your father's bankruptcy. Mom? Lyle. He orchestrated it. Before you even met him, he wanted your father's shipping contracts. When your father refused to sell, the room spun. Are you saying Lyle destroyed Dad's business just to get to me? He played a very long game, Torres said quietly. The question is, why you specifically? A memory surfaced. Dad's last good day, before the bankruptcy broke him. He'd mentioned a promising deal, something about Russian shipping routes. Oh, God. I sank into Lyle's leather chair. Dad discovered Lyle's Russian connections back then, didn't he? That's why. Mom nodded. Your father was going to expose everything. Then suddenly he was bankrupt, discredited. Nobody would believe him. And I married the man who destroyed him. Bile rose in my throat. I helped him host parties, smiled at his friends, planned our anniversary. Stop! Mom's voice cracked like a whip. You didn't know. None of us knew. Agent Torres? Another agent burst in. We found something in the server logs, video files. The screen flickered to life, showing Lyle in this very room. If you're watching this, Sydney, you've won. Sort of. His recorded self smiled. But remember, you loved me. For 10 years, you loved a lie. What does that say about you? I stood up, walked to the screen, and pulled the plug. He's wrong, Mom said firmly. Love isn't weakness. Trusting people isn't weakness. Isn't it? I gestured at the evidence of Lyle's deception surrounding us. Look what trust got me. It got you the strength to fight back. It got you people who stood by you. Sadie, Noah, even Cade. And Elise? Some betrayals cut deeper than others. Mom touched my cheek. But they don't define us. Your father taught me that. Torres cleared her throat. We've got enough to freeze any accounts we find. With the evidence here, plus Cade's testimony. It's not about the money anymore, I said. It's about making sure he can't do this to anyone else. As we left the safe room, I paused in the doorway. The setting sun cast long shadows through the windows, making the crime scene tape glow like warning signs I should have seen years ago. You okay? Mom asked. No. I took her hand. But I will be. The courthouse buzzed with tension as I took the stand. 3 months had passed since Lyle's escape to Russia. But today wasn't about him. Today was about Elise. She sat at the defendant's table, designer clothes replaced by prison orange, her lawyer whispering urgently in her ear. Please state your name for the record, the prosecutor began. Sydney Jensen. My voice carried through the packed courtroom. Mrs. Jensen, when did you first become aware of the financial fraud at your husband's company? Objection. Elise's lawyer stood. Speculation about Mr. Jensen's activities goes directly to establishing the defendant's role, the prosecutor countered. Mrs. Jensen was a witness to both the personal and professional deceptions. Overruled. Judge Martinez nodded at me. Continue. I described finding the discrepancies, hiring the investigator, discovering the scope of Lyle's crimes. Through it all, Elise stared at her hands. And the defendant's role in all this? She was more than just my husband's mistress, I said clearly. She helped him hide money, attended meetings with his Russian contacts, and knew about the pension fund theft months before it was discovered. That's a lie, Elise burst out. I didn't know everything. Ms. West, control your client, Judge Martinez warned. The prosecutor held up a document. This is a transcript of a conversation between the defendant and Lyle Jensen, recorded in the Coast House safe room. Would you please read the highlighted portion? I took the paper. Once the pension fund transfer is complete, I read, we'll have enough to disappear. Sydney won't know what hit her. Elise's face crumpled. And what was the date of this conversation? 3 months before my anniversary party. The prosecutor turned to the jury. While pretending to help plan her best friend's anniversary celebration, the defendant was actively participating in fraud and theft. Sadie squeezed Mom's hand in the gallery. Behind them sat several former employees of Lyle's company, their retirement savings stolen. Mrs. Jensen, the prosecutor continued, tell us about Atlantic City. The room went silent. I looked directly at Elise for the first time. I was pregnant, I said, having complications. Elise drove me to the hospital, held my hand while I lost the baby. She said Lyle was at a business conference, but I gestured to the photos entered into evidence. He was with her at a casino while I was miscarrying. A juror gasped. Elise started crying. Sydney, please, she sobbed. I never meant. Save it for your testimony, her lawyer hissed. The cross-examination was brutal. Elise's lawyer tried to paint me as a vengeful wife, suggesting I'd fabricated evidence to punish my husband's mistress. Isn't it true, he pressed, that you hired a private investigator before finding any evidence of wrongdoing? No, I replied calmly. I hired one after finding jewelry receipts for items I never received. Items that, as evidence shows, were given to your client. And these supposed Russian connections, are documented in FBI surveillance and banking records, I cut in, along with your client's signature on multiple offshore accounts. During a recess, Noah found me in the hallway. Interpol called, he said quietly. They traced one of Lyle's accounts. He's running out of money faster than expected. Good. I watched Elise being led back to her holding cell. Any word on extradition? Russia's still refusing to cooperate, but Noah smiled. He can't hide forever. Back in session, Cade took the stand, still walking with a limp from the hit and run. Ms. West was present for meetings about the pension fund transfers, he testified. She helped create fake documentation to hide the theft. And the attempt on your life? Lyle was driving, but Elise was in the car. I saw her clearly. She looked away when he accelerated. The jury took only 2 hours to reach a verdict. On the charge of conspiracy to commit fraud, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of accessory to attempted murder, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of theft of employee pension funds, we find the defendant guilty. Judge Martinez's sentence was severe. 20 years, no possibility of early parole. As guards led Elise away, she turned to me one last time. I really did love you like a sister, she said. I know. I stood to leave. That's what makes it unforgivable. Outside, reporters swarmed the courthouse steps. Mom and Sadie flanked me as Noah handled the press. How does it feel? A reporter shouted. Getting justice? I thought about Lyle, burning through his stolen money in Russia. About Elise, facing decades in prison. About my father, who died never knowing why his business really failed. Justice isn't what I expected, I said finally. It doesn't fix what's broken. But maybe it prevents more things from breaking. Agent Torres waited by her car. Ready for phase 2? We've got a lead on Lyle's location. I nodded, feeling the weight of the past year, but also its purpose. Let's finish this. The Moscow hotel room felt like a trap closing in. Through my earpiece, Agent Torres whispered, Target approaching. Remember the plan. I adjusted my blonde wig, checking my reflection. The woman who stared back looked nothing like Sydney Jensen. Perfect. A knock at the door. Room service. I opened it to find Lyle, thinner and grayer, but still wearing that arrogant smile. He pushed the cart in, not really looking at me. Your caviar, madam, he said in badly accented Russian. Thank you, darling. I used my normal voice. He froze, turned slowly. Hello, Lyle. Sydney? His hand moved toward his jacket. I wouldn't, Agent Torres said, stepping out of the bathroom with her weapon drawn. Hands where we can see them. Russian police burst through the door, followed by Interpol agents. Lyle's face contorted with rage. How did you find me? You got sloppy. I pulled off the wig. That gambling habit of yours? Casino cameras are everywhere, even in Moscow. You can't touch me here, he snarled. I have protection. Had protection, Torres corrected. Amazing what happens when Russian oligarchs discover you've been skimming from them too. Lyle's shoulders sagged as handcuffs clicked around his wrists. Was any of it real? He asked quietly. Us? I loved you, I replied. That was real. Everything else was you. As they led him away, his last words hung in the air. I never meant for your father to die from the stress. Just his business, remember that. Back in my real hotel room, I called Mom. It's done, I said. They're extraditing him tomorrow. Are you okay? I don't know what I am. I watched Moscow's lights twinkle outside. Did you know Dad suspected something before he died? He left a letter, Mom admitted. I found it last week, cleaning out the attic. He wrote that something felt wrong about the bankruptcy, but he couldn't prove it. He was more worried about how it would affect you. I wish he'd told me. Would you have believed him? Love blinds us sometimes, to good things and bad. A text from Noah lit up my phone. Pension funds recovered. Russian accounts frozen. We won. Did we? I asked Mom. Everything's still broken. No, she said firmly. Everything's clear now. Truth hurts, but lies poison. Your father taught me that. Another call beeped in. Cade. The company board met, he said when I switched over. They want you to take over as CEO, help rebuild what Lyle destroyed. Me? But I'm his wife. Ex-wife, he corrected. And the person who exposed the fraud, saved the pension fund, and protected the employees. They trust you. I thought about all the families affected by Lyle's schemes, about redemption, about legacy. When's the first board meeting? Tomorrow at 9. Your office is already set up. My office. In the building where I'd once been just Lyle's wife. Agent Torres knocked on my door. Car's ready. Time to go home. At the airport, she handed me a file. Lyle's confession. He admitted everything. Your father's bankruptcy, the pension theft, his father's death, even named his Russian contacts. Why confess now? Sometimes running takes more energy than facing consequences. She smiled. You taught me that. The flight home was quiet. I read Dad's letter twice, recognizing his handwriting, feeling his love and worry across the years. Sadie met me at the airport, hugging me tight. Ready to go home? Not to the old house, I said. Too many ghosts. No, she grinned. Your new place. Mom and I finished moving your stuff today. The apartment was perfect. High-rise with a city view. No memories of Lyle. One last thing, Sadie said, pulling out an envelope. Elise wrote this from prison. Do you want it? I took the letter, felt its weight. Not yet. Maybe someday. Fair enough. She squeezed my hand. Want company tonight? No, I smiled. I need to work on my speech for tomorrow. First day as CEO. After she left, I stood at the window, watching the city below. My phone buzzed with a text from Noah. Proud of you. Dinner sometime? I thought about trust, about fresh starts, about choosing to believe in good things despite knowing how badly they can hurt. Yes, I texted back, but not at La Maison. His reply came quickly. Never there again. How about that new Italian place? Clean slate? I looked at my reflection in the window, stronger, wiser, but still capable of hope. Clean slate, I replied. I'd like that.
The crystal wine glass trembled in my hand as I watched my mother-in-law's perfectly manicured fingers drum against the mahogany dining table. Every tap felt like a countdown to my inevitable humiliation. "So, Eliana," Paula's voice dripped with artificial sweetness, "how's that little online shop of yours doing? Still selling those, what do you call them, ethnic accessories?" I'm Eliana Santiago, and 3 months ago, I quit my corporate job to launch my own boutique. Tonight's dinner was supposed to be a celebration of my first successful quarter. Instead, it had become another stage for Paula's theatrical disapproval. "Actually, we've had a great month," I said, straightening my spine. "Our handcrafted bags are selling well, and we're planning to expand into—" "Darling," Paula interrupted, reaching for her wine, "wouldn't it be better to focus on something more substantial? Rhett's firm is always looking for marketing professionals." My husband squeezed my hand under the table. "Mum, Eliana's business is substantial. She's already turning a profit." "A profit?" Paula laughed, the sound echoing through her massive dining room. "What's that, dear?" "Enough to buy a new handbag from a real designer." Lauren, my sister-in-law, shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "I actually bought one of Eliana's bags. The craftsmanship is incredible." Paula's eyes narrowed. "Lauren, please, you're just encouraging this hobby." "It's not a hobby," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. "We've caught the attention of several major influencers and—" "Oh yes, those internet people," Paula waved her hand dismissively. "Speaking of which, I had lunch with Brian Fernandez yesterday. You know, the investor you've been trying to meet with." My stomach dropped. Brian was my potential ticket to scaling the business. I'd been trying to get a meeting with him for weeks. "What did you tell him?" Rhett asked, his fork clattering against his plate. "Only the truth, darling, that while Eliana's enthusiasm is charming, her business model lacks the sophistication needed for serious consideration." Paula dabbed her lips with her napkin. I couldn't let him waste his time. The room spun, weeks of work, carefully crafted presentations, all potentially ruined because of one lunch. "You had no right," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I had every right. The Webbers have a reputation to maintain. We can't have family members running around playing shopkeeper with borrowed cultural trinkets." "Borrowed?" I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "These designs are based on my grandmother's heritage. Each piece tells a story of—" "Oh, please spare us the immigrant success story." Paula rolled her eyes. "It's all very touching, but this isn't some feel-good movie, Eliana. This is real life." Rhett stood beside me. "That's enough, Mom. Sit down, both of you. You're making a scene." Paula turned to the butler hovering nearby. "James, bring out the dessert." My phone buzzed, an email notification. I opened it under the table, my hands shaking. "Dear Ms. Santiago, after careful consideration, we regret to inform you that we'll have to cancel our upcoming order." Another buzz. Another cancellation. Paula's smile grew wider as she watched my face. She knew. Somehow she knew exactly what was happening. "Everything all right, dear? You look pale. Perhaps the stress of running a business is too much for you." I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Rhett closed behind. Lauren called out, "Eliana, wait!" In the foyer, Rhett caught my arm. "I'm so sorry, I'll talk to her." "Talk to her." I laughed bitterly. "She's systematically destroying everything I've built. Those cancellations aren't a coincidence, Rhett. She's been calling my clients." "We'll fix this," he promised, pulling me close. From the dining room, Paula's voice carried clearly. "She'll thank me one day. Sometimes we need to be cruel to be kind." That's when something inside me snapped. The fear, the intimidation, the constant need to prove myself. It all crystallized into something harder, sharper. I pulled away from Rhett and walked back into the dining room. Paula looked up, surprised by my return. "You know what, Paula? You're right about one thing. This isn't a feel-good movie. But you've made a serious mistake." "Oh?" She raised an eyebrow. "And what's that?" "You assumed I'd break, that I'd crawl back to corporate life with my tail between my legs. But here's the thing about my grandmother's heritage. We don't break. We transform." I turned to leave, but not before catching Lauren's small smile and Paula's momentarily uncertain expression. In the car, my phone buzzed again. Another cancellation. But instead of despair, I felt something else. Determination. Paula Weber had just given me the greatest gift possible, a reason to succeed that went beyond profit margins and sales figures. She wanted to play games, fine, but she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I had nothing left to lose, and that made me more dangerous than she could imagine. My grandmother's weathered hands traced the intricate patterns on her old shawl as I sat cross-legged on her living room floor, surrounded by my laptop, sketch papers, and a rapidly cooling cup of café con leche. Abuela, tell me again about the pattern, I said, pencil poised over my sketchbook. The one from the Resistance. Francesca's eyes sparkled with memories. Ah, mi amor. These weren't just pretty designs. Each pattern was a message. A secret code for those who knew how to read it. This spiral here? It meant safe passage. The broken line? Danger ahead. I sketched frantically, my mind racing with possibilities. 3 days had passed since Paula's dinner party disaster, and I'd already lost 60% of my confirmed orders. But sitting here, listening to my grandmother's stories, I knew exactly what I had to do. My phone rang. Rhett. Hey, love, how's the damage control going? It's not, I admitted, adding shading to my sketch, but I have a different plan. I'm liquidating our savings. Silence crackled over the line. Eliana, that's everything we have. I know. But I'm creating something new, something that matters. I looked at my grandmother, who was now humming softly as she folded her shawl. Remember how you always said I should tell my story? Well, I'm finally ready. Paula will hate it, he said, but I could hear the smile in his voice. That's just a bonus. After hanging up, I showed my sketches to Francesca. Her eyes widened. Mi niña, these are the patterns from the Resistance, but different. Modern interpretations, I explained. Each piece will tell a story of survival, of fighting back, but with a twist that speaks to today's world. The doorbell rang. Lauren stood on the porch, clutching a thick manila envelope. Can I come in? She asked, glancing nervously over her shoulder. I have something you need to see. Inside, Lauren spread documents across the coffee table, displacing my sketches. I found these in Mom's study, she said. She's been embezzling from her own charity for years. The numbers don't add up, and these offshore accounts. She pointed to several highlighted figures. It's bad, Eliana, really bad. My hands shook as I examined the papers. Why are you showing me this? Lauren's eyes met mine. Because I'm tired of her destroying people. What she did to your business? It's not the first time. She ruins anyone who threatens her social standing. Francesca hobbled over, peering at the documents. Sometimes, she said softly, the greatest revolution is simply telling the truth. I stared at the evidence of Paula's fraud, then at my sketches. An idea began to form. Lauren, I need your help. Both of you. I pulled out my phone and dialed my supplier. Hi, Maria. Remember that crazy idea we discussed? I'm in. All in. The next 2 weeks became a blur of activity. I sold everything that wasn't essential, poured every penny into materials and production. Francesca's stories became the heart of each design, while Lauren secretly gathered more evidence of Paula's misconduct. My small workshop transformed into a war room of creativity. Every piece in the collection carried a hidden message, patterns that spoke of resistance, of standing up to oppression, but reimagined for modern women fighting modern battles. You're crazy, Rhett said one night watching me work, but I've never been more proud. Even though I'm risking everything. He picked up one of the finished bags, admiring the intricate pattern. Especially because of that. You're fighting back with beauty, with truth. It's brilliant. My phone buzzed with a text from Lauren. Mum's planning something big, be careful. As if on cue, an email arrived from my remaining major client cancelling their order. My hands trembled as I opened my banking app, checking our account balance. The numbers made my stomach lurch. We're almost out of money, I whispered. Rhett wrapped his arms around me. Then we've got nothing left to lose. Francesca, who had been quietly observing from her chair, spoke up. When they took everything from us, that's when we became most dangerous, because then we fought with our whole hearts. I looked at my grandmother, this tiny woman who had survived a revolution, who had carried her stories in secret patterns and whispered them to me at bedtime. Then I looked at my collection, her legacy transformed into something new and powerful. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. Is this Eliana? Brian Fernandez here. I've been hearing some interesting things about your new collection. I caught my breath. Mr. Fernandez, Let me be clear, he cut in. Paula Weber has been insistent about keeping me away from your business, which frankly only made me more curious. I'd like to see what you're working on. Tomorrow, if possible. After hanging up, I stood in my workshop, surrounded by my grandmother's stories made manifest in leather and silk. Paula thought she could silence me, erase me. But she'd forgotten something crucial. Some stories refused to stay buried. I picked up one of the bags, running my fingers over the pattern that meant, "Revolution is coming." "Ready or not, Paula," I whispered. "Here we go." Brian Fernandez's office felt like a fortress of glass and steel, 30 stories above the city. I clutched my sample bag tighter as his assistant led me through the doors. "These patterns," Brian said, not bothering with pleasantries as he examined the bag. "They're unlike anything I've seen in the market. Tell me about them." I placed my grandmother's shawl on his desk. Each design tells a story of resistance. This one, for example. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it and smirked. "That's the third time Paula has called in the last hour. She seems very concerned about our meeting." "I'm not surprised," I said, keeping my voice steady. "She's invested a lot of energy in destroying my business." "Yes, she mentioned something about protecting me from a bad investment." He set the phone aside. "What she didn't mention was that your initial sales figures were impressive. Very impressive." A knock at the door interrupted us. Lauren burst in, ignoring the protesting assistant. "Sorry I'm late," she said, dropping into the chair beside me. "Traffic was terrible." Brian raised an eyebrow. "Ms. Weber, this is unexpected." "I'm here to support my sister-in-law," Lauren announced, pulling out a tablet. "And to show you something interesting about my mother's charitable foundation. The one you've been considering partnering with." His expression sharpened. "Go on." Lauren pulled up the documents she'd discovered, explaining the discrepancies while I sat in stunned silence. I hadn't expected her to be so bold. "These are serious allegations," Brian said, studying the numbers. "They're not allegations," Lauren replied. "They're facts. Mum's been stealing from her own charity for years, using it as her personal piggy bank while pretending to help underprivileged women." Brian leaned back, steepling his fingers. "And you're showing me this because?" "Because," I cut in, "we're offering you a better investment opportunity. One with actual impact." I pulled out my business plan, spreading it across his desk. "Each piece in my collection will partner with a legitimate women's organization. Real help for real women, with complete transparency. Plus," Lauren added, "the designs are incredible. And they come with a built-in market of women who are tired of being silenced." Brian's phone buzzed again. Paula's name flashed on the screen. "Should I take this?" he asked, a slight smile playing at his lips. "Actually," Lauren said, "put it on speaker." He did. "Brian, darling," Paula's voice filled the room. "Please tell me you haven't met with that girl yet. Her little ethnic crafts project is beneath you. Now about my foundation's fundraiser next month." "Paula," Brian interrupted, "I'm in a meeting. With Eliana and Lauren." The silence that followed was deafening. "Lauren?" Paula's voice cracked. "What are you doing there?" "The right thing, Mom." Finally. Brian ended the call. "Well, ladies, you've certainly made this interesting." He picked up one of my bags again. "Tell me more about your production capacity." An hour later, Lauren and I stood in the elevator, still processing what had happened. "I can't believe he's investing," I whispered, "and that you came." Lauren gripped my hand. I've spent my whole life watching Mom crush people's dreams. I couldn't let her do it to you, too. My phone chimed with a text from Rhett. Mum's on the warpath. She knows about the meeting, coming home early. She's going to disown you, I told Lauren. Probably, she agreed. But you know what? For the first time in my life, I don't care. We stepped out of the elevator into chaos. Paula stood in the lobby, her perfect makeup unable to hide her fury. How dare you, she hissed at Lauren. Conspiring against your own mother? No, Mom. How dare you? How dare you steal from charity? How dare you hurt everyone who doesn't fit your perfect image? Security guards were moving our way. Paula noticed too and lowered her voice. You have no idea what you've done. I'll cut you off. Both of you will be nothing. I stepped between them. That's where you're wrong, Paula. We're not nothing. We're everything you're afraid of. Women who won't be silenced. You'll regret this, she spat, but her voice trembled. No, Lauren said quietly. The only thing I regret is not standing up to you sooner. As Paula stormed out, Brian appeared behind us. Impressive show, he said. I trust you'll bring that same fire to our partnership. The collection launches in 3 weeks, I confirmed. Will you be there? Wouldn't miss it. He handed me a check. Your first investment installment. Don't make me regret this. Outside, Lauren and I stood in the sunshine, still shaking from the confrontation. What now? She asked. I looked at the check in my hand, then at my phone where pictures of the collection's samples waited to be posted. Now, we launch a revolution, one handbag at a time. Lauren linked her arm through mine. Mum's going to try to stop us. Let her try, I said, thinking of my grandmother's resistance patterns. Some stories are stronger than fear. We walked away from the building, leaving Paula's world of artificial perfection behind. Ahead of us lay 3 weeks of hard work, but for the first time, I felt truly unstoppable. We had the truth on our side, and as my grandmother always said, truth was the strongest pattern of all. The morning of the launch, I arrived at the venue at dawn, my heart pounding as I unlocked the doors. The gallery space we'd rented was perfect, industrial chic with exposed brick walls that made the perfect backdrop for my collection. Looking good, boss, Maria, my lead seamstress, called out as she wheeled in the first rack of bags, though you might want to check social media. My stomach dropped as I pulled out my phone. The trending hashtag made my blood run cold. Fake designer. It's everywhere, Lauren said, rushing in with her tablet. Anonymous sources claiming you stole the designs that they're mass-produced knockoffs from overseas factories. I scrolled through the posts, each one worse than the last. Paula? Has to be, Lauren agreed. She's been meeting with her PR team all week. My phone rang. Brian. Tell me these allegations aren't true, he said without preamble. They're lies, I said, my voice firm. Every piece is original, inspired by my grandmother's resistance patterns. I can prove it. You'd better. The press is already asking questions. After hanging up, I called Rhett. Your mother's really done it this time, I said when he answered. I know. I'm with her now. He paused. She's hosting a press breakfast, talking about the importance of authentic design and cultural appreciation. I nearly dropped the phone. She's what? Says she's protecting the industry from frauds. Eliana, she's got photos of similar-looking bags from other designers. But those designs came from my grandmother. They're family patterns. Then prove it, he said simply. I looked around the gallery where my team was setting up, at the centerpiece display still empty, waiting for the star of the collection. Abuela, I said into the phone, I need you. Now, bring everything. 2 hours later, Francesca arrived with a trunk full of history. Together, we transformed one corner of the gallery into a living timeline. Her original shawls, photographs, documented stories of the resistance movements, all leading to my modern interpretations. Mi amor, she said, arranging her shawls. Your mother-in-law doesn't understand. These patterns aren't just designs, they're survival stories. The first reporters started arriving, drawn by Paula's allegations. But instead of finding a scandal, they found my grandmother holding court, captivating them with tales of revolution and resistance, showing how each pattern evolved from necessity to fashion. "This spiral," she told a mesmerized journalist, "it meant safe passage during the uprising. Now my granddaughter has transformed it into a symbol of modern women's journey. See how it flows into the bag's structure?" Lauren burst in mid-afternoon. "Mom's furious. Her breakfast backfired. Everyone's talking about the fascinating heritage angle of your collection." "Good," I said, adjusting a display, "because we're about to give them something bigger to talk about." I pulled out the centerpiece of the collection, a large tote bag with an intricate pattern that, at first glance, looked purely decorative. But embedded within the design were numbers, dates, and amounts matching the records Lauren had found of Paula's embezzlement. "Is that what I think it is?" Lauren whispered. "The truth hidden in plain sight, just like my grandmother's resistance patterns." The gallery filled as launch time approached. Brian arrived with potential buyers. Fashion bloggers circulated, photographing everything. Even Rhett showed up, looking both proud and nervous. Then Paula walked in. She moved through the crowd like a shark, her designer heels clicking on the concrete floor. "Quite the little museum you've created," she said, eyeing the heritage display. "Though I doubt anyone's actually buying." "Actually," Brian stepped forward, "we've had significant pre-orders. The heritage angle is resonating strongly with consumers tired of soulless luxury brands." Paula's smile tightened. "How nice. Though I wonder about the authenticity of these so-called resistance patterns." "Why don't you ask me yourself?" Francesca appeared beside us, her small frame radiating dignity. "After all, I lived them." The crowd quieted, sensing drama. "You know, Paula," I said, leading her to the centerpiece display, "some patterns tell stories we'd rather keep hidden, like this one." I watched her face as she examined the bag, saw the exact moment she recognized the numbers woven into the design. "You wouldn't," she whispered. "Try me." "Ladies and gentlemen," I addressed the crowd, "I'd like to tell you about this special piece. It's inspired by my grandmother's belief that truth, like beauty, deserves to be shared." Paula grabbed my arm. "Think carefully about what you're doing." I looked at her perfectly manicured hand on my arm, then at my grandmother's weathered fingers tracing her resistance patterns, and finally at Lauren, who nodded slightly. "The truth is," I continued, my voice carrying across the gallery, "every pattern tells a story. The question is, which stories are we brave enough to tell?" Paula's hand fell away as cameras flashed. In that moment, looking at her face, I realized the launch wasn't just about my collection anymore. It was about every woman who'd ever been told to stay quiet, to play small, to accept less than she deserved. And I was done being quiet. The morning after the launch, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Fashion blogs were calling the collection revolutionary. Major retailers wanted meetings. But the message that made my hands shake came from Paula's lawyer. "Cease and desist," I read aloud to Lauren over coffee. "Any interpretation of financial records in your designs constitutes defamation," Lauren snorted. "Defamation requires the statements to be false. Those numbers are real." "She's scared," Rhett said, joining us at my kitchen table. "The charity gala is next week and ticket sales are down. People are asking questions." My phone lit up with another call. A morning show wanted an interview. Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Brian strode in, tablet in hand. "Have you seen the numbers? Pre-orders have tripled since last night, but that's not why I'm here." He turned the tablet toward us. "Look who's trending." A video was going viral. Paula at my launch, her face contorting as she examined the centerpiece bag. Someone had captured the exact moment she recognized her own fraud woven into the pattern. "The internet is calling it the guilty look," Brian said. "It's becoming a meme." "Mom's going to lose it," Lauren whispered. Right on cue, my phone rang, Paula's number. "Put it on speaker," Rhett said. I did. "You think you're clever," Paula's voice trembled with rage, "but you've made a terrible mistake. The gala is next week. Every important person in this city will be there, and when I'm done, you'll wish you'd never touched a sewing machine." "Is that a threat, Paula?" "It's a promise. By the way, I've invited several intellectual property lawyers. They're very interested in examining your grandmother's so-called original patterns. The line went dead. She wouldn't, Lauren gasped. Going after Abuela's patterns? That's low even for her. I grabbed my keys. Come on, we need to see Francesca. We found my grandmother in her garden calmly drinking tea. When I told her about Paola's threat, she laughed. Mi amor, let her bring her lawyers. I have something to show you. She disappeared into her house, returning with a dusty box. I was waiting for the right time. Inside were dozens of yellowed documents, official patents and design registrations dating back decades. You registered the patents? I breathed. Of course, when we came to this country, I learned quickly about protecting what's yours. She smiled. Your mother-in-law isn't the first bully I've faced. Brian, who'd followed us, was already photographing the documents. This changes everything. These registrations, they're gold. And the timing. What timing? I asked. The fashion world loves drama, he said. Paula's gala is next week. What if we time our next move perfectly? Lauren's eyes lit up. The gala invitations haven't gone out yet. Mum's been delayed choosing the perfect design. I might have an idea, I said slowly, pulling out my sketchbook. But I'll need your help, Lauren. All of your help. Over the next few days, we worked in secret. Lauren provided the guest list. Brian connected me with a high-end printer. Francesca shared more stories, more patterns, each one now proven legally mine. The night before the gala invitations were supposed to go out, Lauren called in a panic. Mum's suspicious. She's asking questions about the printer delay. Is everything ready? I asked. Yes. The invitations are perfect. Each one has your special pattern embedded in the design. When the story breaks during the gala, everyone will already have the evidence in their hands, I finished. That night, I couldn't sleep. Rhett found me in my workshop tracing patterns on scratch paper. Having second thoughts? He asked. No. Yes. Maybe. I looked up at him. This will destroy her. She tried to destroy you first, he reminded me. Multiple times. I know, but... My phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. Mum just approved the invitations. They're going out tomorrow morning. Last chance to back out. I thought about Paula's smug face at that first dinner party, her deliberate dismantling of my business, her threats against my grandmother's legacy. No backing out, I texted back. Rhett wrapped his arms around me. Whatever happens, I'm with you. The next morning, 500 invitations went out to the city's elite. 500 pieces of evidence disguised as elegant party invitations, each bearing a pattern that told the true story of Paula's charity fraud. My phone rang. Brian. It's done, he said. The invitations are delivered, and I've just confirmed our spot at the gala. Front row seats to watch it all unfold. I hung up and walked to my window, watching the morning sun rise over the city. In mansions and penthouses across town, Paula's carefully curated guest list was receiving their invitations, unknowingly holding the keys to her downfall in their manicured hands. 1 week, I whispered to myself, 1 week until the truth comes out in the most public way possible. My phone buzzed again, a message from Paula. The invitations are perfect, dear. Perhaps you're learning something about class after all. I smiled at the irony. Yes, Paula, I thought. I've learned quite a lot about class. And next week, you'll learn about consequences. The ballroom of the Grand Plaza Hotel glittered with crystal chandeliers and Paula's carefully curated guest list. I adjusted my dress, one of my own designs, naturally, and watched the crowd through the service entrance. Ready? Lauren appeared beside me, stunning in midnight blue. Mum's about to make her entrance. Are the accountants here? She nodded. Front row, just like you asked. They've reviewed all the evidence. They're just waiting for the signal. The crowd hushed as Paula swept in, resplendent in designer couture. She took the stage with practiced grace, tapping the microphone. Welcome, everyone. Tonight we celebrate 10 years of our foundation's work. She paused, scanning the crowd. Her smile faltered when she spotted me. Work that has touched countless lives. I checked my watch. Any minute now. If you'll all take out your invitations, Paula continued, you'll notice a special design element, a pattern that represents our commitment to— Excuse me, a voice called out. An elderly man in an expensive suit stood up, invitation in hand. Could you explain these numbers woven into the pattern? Paula's face went blank. Numbers. Yes, another guest chimed in. They look like account transfers, quite substantial ones. The whispers started. All around the ballroom, people were examining their invitations more closely, phones out, comparing notes. This can't be right, someone said loudly. These dates match unauthorized withdrawals from the Foundation's accounts. Paula's hands gripped the podium. I'm sure there's some mistake. No mistake, Mrs. Weber. One of the accountants stood up. These numbers match exactly with our investigation's findings. Funds meant for women's education programs, diverted to personal accounts. The whispers turned to murmurs. Phones were lighting up everywhere as guests photographed their invitations. This is absurd, Paula announced, but her voice shook. These invitations were designed by… She looked directly at me. I stood up slowly. By me, I said clearly. Using my grandmother's resistance patterns, the same ones you tried to discredit, except this time they're telling a modern story of corruption. Security, Paula called out. Remove her. I wouldn't, Brian stood up. Not unless you want to add assault charges to the fraud allegations. Paula's perfect composure cracked. Lauren, darling, help Mommy explain. Explain what, Mom? Lauren's voice carried across the suddenly silent room. How you stole from your own charity. How you used that money to maintain your social status while destroying anyone who threatened it. I did it for you. Paula's voice rose hysterically. Everything I did was to maintain our position, our influence. No, Lauren said quietly. You did it for yourself. The room erupted in chaos. Reporters who'd been invited to cover the gala were suddenly conducting a very different kind of interview. Phones were ringing as board members called their lawyers. And in the middle of it all, Paula stood frozen at the podium. I made my way toward her, but Rhett got there first. Mum, he said softly, it's over. Paula's face crumpled. For a moment, I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. Real, raw fear in the eyes of a woman who'd always been so carefully controlled. You don't understand, she whispered. Without this, without my reputation, I'm nothing. Something twisted in my chest. This was what I'd wanted, wasn't it? To see her broken, humiliated, just as she'd tried to humiliate me. But watching her stand there, her perfect world crashing down, I felt no triumph, only a hollow sadness. Mrs. Weber? A police officer appeared beside her. We need you to come with us. As they led her away, she turned to me one last time. I hope you're happy now. I'm not, I said honestly. But maybe that's the difference between us. The media frenzy lasted for hours. By midnight, Juice Charity Gate scandal was trending nationwide. Lauren was speaking with Foundation board members about emergency restructuring. Brian was handling press inquiries about our partnership. I found myself on the hotel's terrace away from the chaos. Rhett joined me, loosening his tie. You okay? He asked. I thought this would feel different, I admitted. More satisfying. Because you're not like her, he said simply. Your grandmother's patterns weren't just about resistance. They were about survival. About building something better. My phone buzzed. A message from Francesca. Remember, mi amor, true victory isn't in destroying your enemies. It's in building something they can't tear down. I looked back through the glass doors at the scattered remains of Paula's gala. At Lauren, strong and capable, already working to save the Foundation's mission. At the guests examining my designs with new interest, seeing the power of patterns that told the truth. So what now? Rhett asked. I squeezed his hand, thinking of all the women who could be helped by a properly run foundation, of all the stories still waiting to be told through my designs. Now, I said, we build something better. Inside, the chaos continued, but out here, under the stars, I finally understood. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying your enemy's world, it's in creating a better one of your own. 3 days after the gala, I stood outside the county jail, my heart pounding. The guard led me through security to a stark visiting room where Paula sat, wearing an orange jumpsuit that clashed horribly with her perfectly maintained hair. "Come to gloat?" she asked as I sat down. "No, I came to make you an offer." She laughed bitterly. "What could you possibly offer me now? You've taken everything. Actually, I'm offering to give something back." I placed a folder on the table between us. The foundation. That got her attention. "Lauren and I have been working with the board. They're willing to drop some of the charges if you agree to our terms." "Which are?" "Step down completely. Let us restructure the foundation with full transparency. And," I took a deep breath, "work with us to make it what it should have been all along." Paula's perfectly plucked eyebrows shot up. "You want me to work with you? You have connections we need. Real relationships with donors. Knowledge of how these circles work. Use that for good this time." "And why would I do that?" "Because your other option is fighting federal fraud charges. Your choice." She studied me for a long moment. "You're nothing like what I expected, you know. When Rhett first brought you home, I thought you were just another social climber." "Maybe that's been your problem all along," I said. "You see everyone as either a threat or a tool." The door opened and Lauren walked in. Paula's composure cracked slightly. "Hi, Mom," Lauren said softly. "Lauren, darling, you look different." "I feel different. Stronger." Lauren sat beside me. "We've been going through the Foundation's records. You actually had some amazing ideas in the beginning, before it became about status and power." Paula's hands trembled slightly. "It was never supposed to—" She stopped, composing herself. "What exactly are you proposing?" I pulled out the paperwork. A new board structure. Lauren as executive director. You as a special advisor, once the legal issues are resolved. And a completely new mission focusing on women entrepreneurs from underprivileged backgrounds. Using my designs, I added, each piece telling a story of transformation. Real women's stories. Paula picked up the papers, scanning them with practiced eyes. "This could actually work," she murmured. "The donor base would love the redemption angle." "This isn't about angles," Lauren said firmly. "It's about doing something meaningful." A guard announced visiting time was ending. Paula handed back the papers. "I'll have my lawyer review these." As we stood to leave, she called out, "Eliana?" I turned. "Your grandmother's patterns. They really are extraordinary." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was something. Outside the jail, Lauren hugged me tight. "Thank you for giving her a chance." "She's still your mother," I said, "and maybe she can learn to be a better one." My phone buzzed, Brian calling. "Turn on the news," he said without preamble. Lauren and I rushed to her car, flipping on the radio. The story was everywhere. Fashion industry rallies behind emerging designers' anti-corruption collection. "The orders are pouring in," Brian said. "Everyone wants the bags that took down a corrupt empire. But that's not all. Major retailers are asking about your full line, the one with your grandmother's original patterns." I looked at Lauren, who was grinning. "Think bigger," she said. That evening, I gathered everyone at my grandmother's house. Rhett, Lauren, Brian, and most importantly, Francesca herself. "I have an idea," I announced, spreading out fresh sketches on the dining table. "What if we combine the Foundation's new mission with my designs, each piece created in partnership with a woman entrepreneur telling their story through patterns?" "A mentorship program," Lauren added excitedly, "connecting established businesses with startups." "Using Mom's network for good," Rhett nodded. Brian was already typing on his tablet. "The press will love it. Redemption, innovation, social impact. It's perfect." But I was watching my grandmother, who had been quietly examining my sketches. "Abuela, what do you think?" She picked up one of the drawings, a design that incorporated both her resistance patterns and modern elements. "When I created these patterns," she said slowly, "they were about survival, about keeping hope alive in dark times." She smiled. But you, mi amor, you've made them about thriving, about helping others rise. Is that okay? I asked softly. She cupped my face in her weathered hands. It's better than okay. It's exactly what they were meant to become. My phone chimed with a message from Paula's lawyer. She was accepting our offer. Well, Brian said, raising his coffee cup, here's to new patterns. To new stories, Lauren added. To second chances, Rhett smiled. I looked around at this unlikely family we'd created, my husband, his sister, my grandmother, our allies, and felt something settle in my heart. The patterns of our lives were shifting, weaving together into something stronger and more beautiful than before. To transformation, I said, and we all raised our cups to that. The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee and fresh paint through the open windows of our new flagship store. I adjusted the display of handcrafted bags, each one telling a different entrepreneur's story through its patterns. The reporters are here, Lauren called from the front, and Mom's car just pulled up. My hands trembled slightly as I straightened the centerpiece, a recreation of my grandmother's original shawl, now transformed into a modern messenger bag, the pattern that started it all. Paula entered first, looking elegant but subdued in one of my designs, a silk scarf featuring a pattern that meant redemption in my grandmother's code. The ankle monitor beneath her pants leg served as a humble reminder of consequences still being paid. The place looks magnificent, she said, running her fingers along a display, though perhaps the lighting could be adjusted to... Mom, Lauren warned. Paula caught herself. Sorry, old habits. The store filled quickly with journalists, photographers, and most importantly, the women from our mentorship program. Each one stood proudly beside the designs they'd helped create, ready to share their stories. Francesca arrived last, supported by Rhett. She paused at the entrance, taking in the scene. Mi niña, she whispered, tears in her eyes. Look what you've built. Brian stepped forward, tapping a glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand opening of Pattern Revolution's flagship store. But this is more than just a boutique. It's the home base for our foundation's mentorship program. I took the microphone, my voice steady. Every piece you see here represents a collaboration between established designers and emerging entrepreneurs. Each pattern tells a story of transformation. Like this one, Paula stepped forward, surprising everyone. This scarf I'm wearing, it represents my own journey. From someone who used power to crush others, to learning how to lift them up instead, the crowd murmured. This wasn't in the script. My daughter and daughter-in-law taught me something valuable, Paula continued. True influence isn't about maintaining status. It's about creating opportunity. Lauren squeezed my hand as Paula turned to us. I'm sorry, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. For everything I did to hurt you both. A photographer's flash captured the moment. Paula Weber, humbled but dignified, extending an olive branch in front of the world. And now, Brian jumped in smoothly, I'd like to introduce our first group of mentees. One by one, women stepped forward to share their stories. A refugee who designed bags incorporating traditional crafts from her homeland. A domestic violence survivor whose patterns symbolized breaking free. A former inmate whose designs represented second chances. This is real power, I whispered to Paula, who stood beside me. Not what you can take from others, but what you can help them build. She nodded, dabbing at her eyes with the corner of her scarf. I'm beginning to understand that. The event culminated with Francesca demonstrating how to read the resistance patterns, teaching a new generation the secret language of survival and hope. Journalists scribbled frantically, cameras flashed, and social media lit up with images of my grandmother's weathered hands tracing patterns that had once saved lives. As the crowd thinned, a young woman approached me clutching a portfolio. I've been following your story, she said nervously. I have some designs, patterns from my own culture. Come, I led her to the consultation area. Tell me your story. Later that night, after the cameras left and the signs were turned off, our small family gathered in the store. Lauren and Paula sat together, tentatively discussing foundation plans. Rhett and Brian reviewed sales figures. Francesca dozed in our custom-designed reading nook. I stood in the center, surrounded by the physical manifestation of our journey. Patterns of resistance transformed into symbols of progress. Stories of pain turned into testimonies of triumph. "Penny for your thoughts?" Rhett asked, wrapping his arms around me. "I was just thinking about that dinner party," I said, "when Paula first tried to destroy my business. How it felt like the end of everything. And now? Now I realize it was just the beginning of something bigger than revenge or success." "Speaking of beginnings," Lauren called out, "Mom has an announcement." Paula stood, smoothing her scarf. "I've decided to donate my house for the Foundation's new training center." "The house?" I gasped. "But that's your pride and joy." "It was," she admitted. "But I'm learning to take pride in different things now." Francesca stirred from her nap. "Ah, the strongest pattern of all, transformation." I looked around at these people who had become my unlikely team. At Paula, who was learning to channel her influence for good. At Lauren, who had found her strength. At my grandmother, whose resistance patterns had evolved into symbols of empowerment. The store's lights dimmed automatically, casting gentle shadows that made the patterns seem to dance across the walls. Each design told a story, of survival, of change, of hope. But together they told an even bigger story, that sometimes the most beautiful patterns emerge from the darkest threads. "Ready to go home?" Rhett asked. "Actually," I smiled, pulling out my sketchbook, "I have some new ideas I want to work on. Because that's the thing about patterns, they never really end. They just keep evolving, weaving new stories, creating new possibilities. And this was just the beginning of ours."